Yo, chat. Oh, hold up. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another live stream. I am not feeling too good, but I haven't streamed in a bit, so I'm just gonna stream, and we're gonna be. It's a little bit of a lazy stream, so we're just gonna be watching videos. But yeah, we're gonna be watching videos. And just reacting. They're mostly horror videos because, you know, I'm a fan of horror. So we got Chillin' Scares, you know, the GOAT.
Since 2017, a YouTuber.
All right, so what should we do? Chat, wouldn't it be like kind of convenient if we did this one? Streamers who captured their moments live. I feel like we should. Oh my god. Hold on. Hold on, escape. Cause I don't want to sign in, bro. Oh shoot. How do I hide my... If I could hide my screen, that'd be huge. Oh, let me guess, because it has like the suicide on it thing. Oh. Let's do Reddit threads.
Picked a great name, but your voice doesn't quite match it?
We have a fix.
Voice mod gives you over 150...
On the 31st of May 2020.
Alright, here we go. I gotta hit the Discord up, tell them we live. Alright.
22, members of several crime-related subreddits like Prison, Ex-Con, and Felon saw the same post from an account named Criminology Student. A quick glance at the post revealed that it was asking ex-convicts to take a survey, reading,
No, I like true crime. My bad, chat. I'm so picky. But true crime bothers me. I can't lie. True crime bothers me. I don't like true crime. Oh, dash cam.
On the night of January 19th, 2019, an Uber driver named Albert Castro picked up a passenger from a bar in Citrus Heights, California. This passenger was 32-year-old Chu Vang. He'd been partying at this bar for many hours and was completely intoxicated. However, picking up inebriated passengers from bars was part of Albert's daily routine.
You
So
should be doing homework on a Monday evening. Bro, Trent. It's my first day back, little bro. Or Unk. Trent is Unk. It's my first day back at school. They're not going to give us homework, Trent. You are such an Unk that you don't know that, of course. Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
we didn't think much of it. What he didn't know at that time was that picking up Chu would soon put his life in grave danger. Fortunately, he captured the whole incident on his dash cam.
Okay.
Things started off fairly normal, with Chu sitting in the front seat and trying to strike up a conversation with Albert while in his drunken state. But then, out of nowhere, he started freaking out and saying things like, "You're gonna crash." Albert tried to calm things down and reassured him that he was not gonna crash. What Albert didn't realize, however, was that Chu wasn't fearing for his own safety. Instead, he was making a threat. Because just a few seconds later, he did this.
No, dude!
He grabbed the steering wheel and turned it in his direction, sending the car swerving across two different lanes while going 65 miles per hour down the Business 80 highway. It was a miracle they managed to avoid hitting any other cars. Thankfully, Albert was able to react quickly and remove his hands from the steering wheel before he put them in any more danger. But just when he thought the situation was under control, Chu made another attempt, this time lunging at the steering wheel with his whole body.
Where we at? Mac Road, man. We're going toward Mac Road. Yeah, where we at?
I'm
gotta let
so
go of my hand, bro.
right now.
Thanks, so. Where we at? We're heading downtown. We're going to Southside. Man.
Oh, this must be so scary.
We're gonna go. You gotta let go, man. No, we're gonna go crazy.
It took everything Albert had in him to keep Chu from causing a potentially fatal crash. And while Chu passed out and stopped fighting for a few seconds, it wasn't long before he was trying to reach for the steering wheel again.
So stupid. He should have
Hello,
sat in
brother.
the back.
Hello, brother.
Bro, he
We're
should
not
have
gonna
sat.
die, man, but you gotta let go.
No, I love you, brother. I love you, brother.
You gotta let go, man.
I love you, brother.
Fortunately, by this point they were already stopped, albeit in the middle of the road. But what made this situation even more disturbing was Chu's complete lack of awareness and concern for what he just did. He's even heard saying the words, "We're going to die," like
Maybe
it's
he was,
nothing.
Like, suicidal or something. Seriously. I'm thinking he was suicidal and he just wanted to
After catching his breath for a short while, Albert finally managed to call the police and explain his situation.
Ma'am, I'm in the middle of the freeway. I have a drunk Uber passenger grabbing my steering wheel.
No.
We're just south of 99 and 50.
Chu was
Man, I'd be
arrested
freaking
and
out
later
too.
charged with DUI for trying to
I think
take
anyone
control of a
would be
moving
freaking
vehicle
out
while
if
under the
somebody-
influence. Now, I wasn't able to find any reports on the conviction he received, as it's a pretty niche case without much of any news coverage. But given the video evidence
well,
clearly
that's not
showing
that,
him
like,
committing the
crazy
crime,
thing.
there's a good chance he was hit with a felony and will never be allowed to drive again. Still, it's disturbing to think about what could have happened if Albert didn't have the reaction time to stop Chu before he managed to crash the car.
Again. I don't agree with that. Doesn't even make any sense.
On February 10, 2022,
Oh!
38-year-old Uber driver Christina Spakuza picked up a man wearing a ski mask from the small town of
That's such a
Pitcairn,
red flag
Pennsylvania.
already. I just drifted off, bro. If I was a woman and there's this
Hi,
freaking person with a
Christina.
ski, oh my
How are
god,
you
that is so creepy. That is so creepy, bro. I would I'd be scared. Okay, at least he didn't get in the front. See, bro.
The weather
like, he
was
didn't get in
quite
the front
cold,
like the
so
other
she
guy
didn't
did.
find the mask suspicious.
So dumb.
But the complete disregard for her questions, or at the very most, a murmured response, was unusual. Though she continued as usual and began driving to the requested location,
Look, he seems
not
nice,
knowing that things would turn bad very quickly. As they were about to reach the destination, the passenger made an odd move and shifted into the middle back seat. To Christina, it seemed like he was just trying to get a better view of the surroundings so he could point out the drop-off location. And sure enough, that's exactly what he did.
Oh, so he's chill.
Where your red is? Right here, up there.
Oh, wait, so what's he gonna do? If he gets out the car, what's he gonna do?
He told her
Oh,
to
she's
stop
not
in a
gonna try to
secluded wooded area just before Monroeville, Pennsylvania.
Oh my
But
god,
just as
that's
she
so
tried
creepy.
to pull over, he did something Christina could have never expected.
I'm sorry?
Keep driving.
Oh my god.
You've got to be joking.
Keep driving.
What are you doing?
This is a gun. Keep driving.
No, it's not. Stop.
I can't show the visuals on YouTube, but the back passenger presses a gun to her head, grabbing her ponytail with his other hand, and instructs her to
That's
keep
messed up. That's
driving.
messed up.
Christina tried to stay calm and reason with the passenger. Unfortunately, he had no intention of showing any mercy.
Come on, man. I got a family. What are you
I got a
doing?
family too. Now drive.
What are you doing?
Drive.
You got a family.
Please
you
stop.
Drive the car, miss.
Why
Just
are you
drive.
doing
Don't
this?
Don't make this so noticeable. Just drive.
Why are you doing this?
I would have drive too. Bro, just drive. Just drive.
A
Just
few
drive, just
seconds
drive.
later, he grabbed her phone so she couldn't call for help. He also noticed and disabled the dashcam that had captured everything to this point.
No.
Tragically, this also marked the last time Christina was seen alive. Her family reported her as missing when she failed to return home that night, prompting an immediate search and rescue effort.
Oh my god, that's so sad. Hold up. You low-key can't hear my mic. Hold on, how do I turn this up? But that's sad. That really is sad. I
To
can't hear.
locate her. And after 2 days of searching, Christina's body was discovered face down in the woods near Monroeville with a bullet.
Oh my god. Hold up. I'm testing my mic right now. Hold up. My bad, my bad. That's super bad timing. But that's sad. That really is sad. I can't hear.
And after 2 days of searching, Christina's body was discovered face down in the woods near Monroeville with a bullet.
That is like so messed up, bro. Like, how could you? Ah, I'm here, gang-a-lang. What happened? So this person was in a car. And this is Yes, we're watching true crime, Val, because I was gonna watch ghost videos, but since you said you like true crime, I decided, you know, even though it makes me uncomfortable, it's a little weird, I can deal with it. I mean, I'm literally a grown man. It was my birthday like 2 days ago, so I got this. 5 most disturbing things caught on Uber dash cam. So what happened, this girl, she was driving, and then they called her to stop in the middle of the woods, and this guy then they killed her.
He had a better view of the surroundings so he could point off the drop-off location. And sure enough, that's exactly what he did.
Bro.
We read it.
Like, bro, that's her. Like, she has family, bro.
He told her to stop in a secluded wooded area just before Monroeville, Pennsylvania.
This man talking about some I have a family
just
too. No,
as she
you don't
tried
have
to
no
pull
family
over,
too,
he
bro.
did something
Like,
Christina could have never expected.
Anyone with a I mean, I'm not saying anyone with a family can't do something bad. It's
I'm
just
sorry?
Keep driving.
like,
You've got
I
to
don't
be
know.
joking.
That's
Keep driving.
What are you doing?
This is
That's
your
so
son.
messed
Keep
up.
driving.
No, it's not. Stop.
I can't show the visuals on YouTube, but the back passenger presses a gun to her head, grabbing her ponytail with his other hand, and instructs her to keep driving. Christina tried to stay calm and reason with the passenger. Unfortunately, he had no intention of showing any mercy.
Come on, man. I got a family. What are you
I got
doing?
a family too, now drive.
What are you doing?
Drive.
Please stop.
Drive the car, miss.
Why
Just
are you
drive.
doing
Don't
this?
Don't make
turn up my mic volume. I don't know how, bro. Hold up, don't dox me. But I'm gonna go into settings. I'm gonna risk it. Ain't nobody watching my lives anyway. System. Oh my god, I just doxed myself so bad. Microphone. Ah! Hold up. Headphones. Yeah, I'm using OBS. Can I turn it up on here? So I just doxed myself for no reason. Hold up. Ah. Oh, no, wait. I think it's cause wait, Val. Is it more the video is loud or is it my voice is just low?
It's so noticeable. Just drive.
Why are you doing this?
Drive the car.
I am talking regularly right now and I'm pissed off because of this ad.
Money makes it so you
Is
can
that
get what you
I'm testing?
want
I'm
from the
testing
game,
normally.
right from jump.
Video is loud or is it my voice is just low?
Why are you doing this?
I am talking regularly right now and I'm pissed off because of this ad. Is that I'm testing? Okay, I think we're good. Val, just let me know if we're good if I need to do anything. Appreciate you telling me about the mic though.
A few seconds later, he grabbed her phone so she couldn't call for help. He also noticed and disabled the dashcam that had captured everything to this point. Tragically, this also marked the last time Christina was seen alive. Her
That's
family
so
reported her as missing when she failed to
unfortunate.
return home that night, prompting an immediate search and rescue effort to locate her. And after 2 days of searching, Christina's body was discovered face down in the woods near Monroeville with a bullet wound to the back of her head. After further investigation, authorities also found her car, which was somehow back in Pitcairn. Fortunately, this discovery allowed investigators to recover the dashcam footage, as well as dust from the passenger's fingerprints. Combined with the information from
fingerprints?
Uber about who booked the ride, these clues led investigators to identify and arrest the suspect 5 days later on February 17th. This turned out to be a 25-year-old man named
he's
Calvin
black.
Crew. Calvin denied the
Dude, I'm so canceled! Dude, if I was popular, I'd be canceled, bro. If I was popular, I'd be canceled. I thought he was white,
allegations and
though.
refused to
but-
talk about his motives. But the records from Christina's phone showed that he tried to access her banking apps multiple times after he'd already shot her in the head. Put simply, this was a robbery gone horribly wrong.
Bro.
He stood in front of a jury in February 2025 and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole
Good,
for this
bro.
cold-hearted
Absolutely
crime.
awesome. I'm glad he got life for parole. Black History
On the
Month,
17th
too.
of March
Oh my
2014,
God, that's so
52-year-old John
frustrating.
Williams picked up an Uber passenger at around midnight from a sketchy area in Chicago. However, what should have been an ordinary ride like any other turned into something that'll likely stick with him for the rest of his life.
Oh, he's still
It
alive.
began
Let's go. He's
almost
still
the
alive.
moment the passenger
Woo!
got into the car, as she made a bizarre statement that left John confused. But before he had the chance to fully process what was going on, things escalated.
By the way, Val, you can hear the video good, right?
Diamond.
Yeah. Go, go, go. You're gonna shoot up the car.
Oh, shoot.
Shoot up the car.
Yeah, go.
What the?
Oh, my God.
What is that?
Oh, my God.
What the is that?
They spinning the block. Run!
What the was that?
He just shot at the car.
For what?
That is
Let me
insane.
call the police.
That is insane.
Let me call the police, Cuddy.
He was
As
just
soon as
shooting
John
at the
started
car.
driving, someone actually opened fire and shot at the car. John stepped on the gas and didn't ease up, running a stop sign and hitting multiple speed bumps. The shooter turned out to be the ex-boyfriend of the girl John had picked up. He was even briefly caught on the dash cam, seen running after John's
They
car
were about
as
to
it
get
drove
Swiss
away.
cheese.
Fortunately, the shots missed the vehicle and both John and the passenger were completely unharmed, at least physically. According to an interview he did later, this incident left John completely traumatized, as he'd never experienced anything this terrifying in his over 12,000
Yeah, what is
year
wrong with
lives.
people, bro?
After
People
the
are
footage
so
was featured
weak.
in the news and it
So
started getting more
personally, me, I would
attention,
never,
people came together and
ever
raised
do
nearly
Uber
$800 to help John pay for psychological counseling.
See, bro, it's like people just don't understand the severity of their actions, bro. And that's messed up. Like, she has to have therapy, bro. Because this crazy ex decided to shoot, bro. It's like, oh, I don't think it's just the shooting part. Obviously, the shooting is just one aspect of it. But there's obviously probably stuff that happened beforehand that led to the person trying to shoot the car. But, like, bro, it's just like, you don't realize the little things, little or big things like this can really traumatize people like that. This person is traumatized for his life, this man right here. And the girl in the back needs therapy, bro. That's the Uber driver does. But also there's like, he also saved her life. So it's like really I say there's always something good that can come out of the bad. Cause like, this man is traumatized, right? But he saved somebody's life. So it's like there's a benefit if you feel me. My bad for the app.
On the night of September 15th, 2018, an Uber driver was completing a ride in Long Island, New York, when, out of nowhere, he was intercepted by another car driving dangerously close and trying to cut him off.
So I'm going to the right?
No, go through this light. Go through straight.
Straight.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what do?
Go to the top of the hill and you'll see a light. We'll make a right.
Baddies in the back.
Whoa. What's going on there?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That was
That was a
weird.
little weird.
The other driver then pulled ahead of the Uber and blocked the road with his car. He then jumped out, approached the Uber, and started banging on the car's window.
What's that?
You blew the right leg. Get the out of the car right now.
Just
I'm not
go.
getting
Just
out of the
go. Just go. Go around him.
Stupid drivers piss me off so bad. I'm
Go
saying.
around him. Oh my God, this is crazy.
This was an extremely dangerous situation.
Wait, I don't understand
The
what
other
happened.
driver was angry and could have potentially had a weapon on him as well. One wrong move, and all three people in the Uber could have easily lost their lives to what looked like either road rage or an attempted robbery. Fortunately, the Uber
seemed
driver
like
made the
road
right
rage to me.
decision and
He
kept
said
his
something
car
about red
locked.
light.
But when he tried to leave without getting into a fight, the other driver got back into his car and started chasing them.
Oh,
Come on,
shoot.
tell them we're being chased. Hi, I'm in an Uber car and we're being chased by another car who was threatening the driver. And we're on Vernon Valley.
And he's
Road.
pursuing us right
He's
now.
pursuing us right now. He's chasing us in a car, in a white car.
They were also approaching a red light, which made them panic even more, fearing that stopping would give the other driver a chance to get out and threaten them again.
Hello, Obsidian, what is up? It's been so long, bro. Obsidian, by the way, there's a delay. Don't worry, but what's up, Obsidian? What is actually up? Let me pause it real quick. How's chat's day? How's everyone going?
But then something incredibly lucky happened that none of them saw coming. Not only did the light turn green as soon as they approached
Yes!
it, they also found a cop car that was already patrolling the
I
area.
smell ramen.
No.
Holy crap, I smell ramen. We're watching True Crimes? Heck yeah, we are.
Yeah, there's a gentleman who stopped us and tried to have a fight with me, and he started pursuing us.
He jumped out of the car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that
Yeah,
guy.
that's him. That's him.
That's
Don't
him.
go anywhere.
That's him.
Stay here.
The cop managed to pull him over, allowing the Uber to drive away safely. And according to the video's description on YouTube, the driver was later arrested for driving while intoxicated. It's
Doing
still
good.
unclear
Had
what
my vitals checked. Nice. My day was good. Last night I finished editing a vid. Nice job editing a video. I'm pretty sure you sent it in the self-promo in the Discord. Is that ramen? Ma! Hold up. I'll be right back. I'll be right back, chat. Ma, are you making ramen? Why does it smell so good? Okay, thank you. I was just wondering. My bad, chat. Sis, my mom's making mac and cheese, I think. Obsidian, you should get Discord, bro. I'd love to have you in the Discord server, bro. Shoot, bro, I need to charge my phone. Is that ramen? Yeah, I'm a big bag.
the driver's intentions were, or what would have happened if the police car hadn't been there when it was.
I don't think he was gonna do anything bad. So personally, that's like one where I don't think he had much bad intentions. I think he was just pissed about red light or something. I don't really know. I don't think it was that big of a deal, that one. But that's up to
on the 22nd of March 2020, an Uber driver picked up his passenger in Washington, D.C.
This looks like
and was looking for the right time to merge in.
This looks like one of those videos where it's like one of them old movies.
The traffic when a random man suddenly opened the front passenger door and got into the car.
Your day, Ben?
Okay.
All right, back to the crazy people in the Uber now. Oh, I see them people looking.
Can I help you?
Where that money at?
You need to get out.
What? Stop paying me. Where that money
Oh,
Stop
shoot!
paying me. Where's that? Right now. Give
I
it to
don't
me.
have
right
cash.
Now.
It's digital world, bro.
Man, give me your
I
wallet.
don't have it.
Give me your wallet.
Bro said digital world, bro. That's funny, bro. I'll think about it. And in Vietnam, actually forced YouTube and Google there to reduce the ADS. Aim down sights. What you mean ADS? Oh yeah, and I'm sitting about the Discord thing. No rush, bro. I wasn't trying to seem pushy. But what you mean ADS?
Right now. Give it to me.
He began threatening the driver with a gun, asking for his wallet. Most people in this situation would likely panic and hand over whatever the robber demands, which is the right thing to do in most cases. After all it takes is one wrong move for someone to lose their life while being threatened with a gun. However, not only did the Uber driver that turned out to be ex-military keep his calm, he also did something that no one else should. He called the robber's bluff.
Right now. Give it to me. Bro, stop.
You gonna shoot me?
Give me that wallet.
Get the f*** out of here.
Not aim down sights, advertisements. Oh, my bad, bro. Advertisements, man, we need that here in America. I don't live in Vietnam. I would love that here in America, because I've had so many ads recently. My God.
You don't want to get shot? Come on,
Give me
man.
that wallet, bro.
No.
Bro, stop playing me before I hit you right here. Give me that wallet, bro.
Jeez, that guy stands on business.
I got on my camera, too.
Oh, look at you. Awesome.
Bro, this guy, he stands on business.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm super grateful for you right now.
Well,
How's he,
ex-military.
how's he so nonchalant about that? I'd be actually freaking out.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane.
Before things could escalate any further, he stepped on the gas, forcing the robber to quickly step out. His actions may have been a bit reckless, but in the end...
No, yeah, that was a little reckless, because if the robber really stood on himself, like, actually stood on business, He would have died, and him in the back too. Trust me, I'd the same Amazon ad play 25 times in the span of 3 hours. Jeez, 25 times is crazy.
They turned out to be the right call, as they saved both him and his passenger from losing everything. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any follow-up information available on this case. Hopefully the robber was identified and taken into custody before he attempted to harm any more people.
Yeah. Alright, W video. Next one. How long was that? That was... I can't find it. We watched this one, right? Okay. But these are all diving videos, bro. Diving is so creepy. What should we watch? I was gonna eat that. Question, have you seen idiots laugh at car crashes? No. Who laughs at, bro? Bro, nah, that traumatized me. I was in like 3rd grade. And we saw somebody dead, bro. Like, it was on a field trip with my friends, and we were looking out the window. I had the window seat. And we just saw this car, and it was crashed, and they were dead. It was flipped over and crushed, bro. Like, absolutely crushed. We don't know what happened because there wasn't another car there. It was one car flipped over, absolutely crushed. There's no chance nobody in there could have survived. And it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. And they were dead. So people that laugh at that is weird. It's not funny, bro. My dad got in a crash, bro. Oh, okay, don't watch that video, okay? No, I can watch it. It's just, people are weird. Let's do this one.
This is my comeback.
God, it's like
today
every
at
time.
purdueglobal.edu/dreamjob.
Build a website you love with Wix.
I put a recommendation by
Where
the
your
way.
words.
Wait, where? What recommendation?
Create your brand, your opportunity, your breakthrough. Add solutions that
that's
meet
messed
you
up.
where you are.
Sorry for your loss. Oh
take
no,
you
dude, my dad's
where you
not
wanna
dead.
go.
My dad's not dead. He's not here
Jared
right now.
Coker Urbex is
He's on a trip, but like thankfully he didn't die from that car crash, but he really hurt his back. Crashes are bad though. I do know some people closely, not really closely, but like I do know people who have like died because of that stuff. So for idiots laughing at that, like how do you find just like destruction satisfying and like funny? Chat in the stream. Wait, where's the recommendation? I don't see it, Val. My bad. I don't see it.
Small YouTube channel where the uploader posts raw footage of his explorations of abandoned locations all over
Bro,
the US.
oh my god! Oh my god! Abandoned buildings are so creepy, bro. I wonder if I should do an abandoned building stream. It is terrifying, bro. Cause there's squatters, bro. I'm not even scared of like paranormal stuff. Yeah, you can
2020,
repost it.
Jared has uploaded over 200 videos of some pretty cool urbex footage. In March 2022, Jared uploaded a video where he explored an abandoned dog treat manufacturing factory in Wichita, Kansas.
What is a dog treat?
For the first few minutes of the video, the exploration is pretty uneventful, and except for the usual couple of strange thuds and bangs that can be heard nearby, it seems like Jared's alone. Even though it's relatively common for homeless people to hide out in abandoned buildings, it doesn't seem like anyone was squatting in the factory that day.
See what I mean?
After exploring the multiple floors of...
My friend, one of his siblings got in a car crash. He's doing okay. Very chumpy to say the least whenever it comes to cars. I mean, yeah, like, it's not funny. It's really not. So, yeah. I don't understand why people will laugh at certain things. If I'm be... I laugh at things. I laugh at things that probably shouldn't laugh at, too. But, like, when it comes to, like, people dying, I don't. That's, like, there's certain things you don't laugh about. There's certain things you just need to lock in, you know?
The building in detail, Jared looks out the window and sees a red car pulling up to the factory and start making its way through
I've
the
seen
gates.
this, guys. I'm clicking off. If you want me to go back to this because you've never seen it, I got you. I'm not trying to watch it. Oh, I watched this one. This one's freaking creepy. Seen this. Seen that. Post a recommendation in the comments. Okay, I should get it soon. You can have them. I'll see it right now, but it takes a while for the comment to go in, so I'll let you know. Bro, this guy doesn't upload a lot. Dang it. Oh, yeah, he does. Never mind. Oh, but I watched this video about a Roblox game called Blood Debt. It is surprisingly funny, even though it takes place during the collapse of the Soviet Union. How's it funny? Why did I laugh? Like, there was nothing funny going on, and I just randomly laughed. I ran over a woman and her child at 96! What?! Bro, what? Hold up, I'm reading chat. Bro, oh my god. First, the players have voice chat on, so whenever someone gets hit, some people actually scream as if they were getting hurt. That happens in our graders, bro. It's so funny. For disturbing reasons, let's watch this.
Want to create your virtual girlfriend?
Bro,
AI
okay.
with no boundaries.
Bro, I know.
Might turn all of your.
Oh my god. What happened? Bro. That is so disgusting. Well, no, it's not. But, like, we're on stream, bro. Like, does it have to hit on stream?
Your ideas into a reality. Curious? Learn more about
god.
AI with no boundaries.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Elliot.
What just happened? Bro, I just can't believe that just happened on stream. I'm so mad right now. By every pantheon on earth, do AI promoters have no shame? Like, bro, kids use this app, bro. Like, are we dead serious, bro? Do this on, like, a mobile game, bro. Not on the big YouTube in 2026. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year to you, too, AI person. Because, oh, AI with no boundaries. Oh, my God. Are we on stream, bro? Holy Holy crap, dude.
Eastman was a 26-year-old man from Vermont, USA.
Okay.
He spent most of his early years in the tiny town of Heinsberg. Life there was calm and peaceful, but with a population of less than 600 residents, it was also quite boring. Elliot wanted to do something.
You should react to the Korean Death Mall Sampoong Department. It's on the Rotten Manga YT channel. Ooh, what's it about? What's it about, Val?
More with his life.
I put my rec in the Discord chat so it doesn't keep disappearing. Okay. Yeah, I already, I just read it. Oh, shoot.
Since 2017,
I didn't mean to click off. Come on. Alright.
Elliot Eastman was a 26-year-old man from Vermont, USA. He spent most of his early years in the tiny town of Heinsberg. Life there was calm and peaceful, but with a population of less than 600 residents, it was also quite boring. Elliot wanted to do something more with his life. So, with his love for nature and exploration in mind, he saved up some money and traveled to the Philippines near the end of 2023. He wanted to slowly make his way through the entire country and witness its beauty firsthand. But just a couple months into his trip, he met a local woman named Carisha Jayla. The two started dating and got married just a few months after that, in July of 2023. Then, in January 2024, Elliot started posting videos on YouTube, documenting his life in the Philippines with his wife.
That's cool.
His videos were simple, without any over-the-top music or crazy editing effects.
So it's like this mall that was super popular and super famous for the salmon pink color of the building. It was built by a rich businessman, I'm pretty sure, but he did not care about the safety of how. Also, I'm assuming, like, a lot of people died or something? It was being built and ended up collapsing. Oh my gosh. Alright, well, chat, we know what we're watching after this. The Korean Death Mall incident. That's creepy. That's super creepy. Bro, imagine just being in there while it collapses. That's insane. That's like a horrible death. Being crushed. Hold up, chat. I got McDonald's, by the way, so I'm drinking Sprite.
But they felt authentic and real, allowing him to amass a small but dedicated fan base.
Bro, I've never... Chat, we should get a dedicated... We should... We should get a dedicated fan base, bro. I already got a dedicated fan base, though. But we need 7,000 subs. That'd be actually so cool. I'm about to burp. Hold up. Okay.
Though his content took a massive shift in May 2024 when he decided to move to the beachside village his wife was from in the Cebuco municipality. Unfortunately, it wasn't long before this spiraled into the worst decision he'd ever make.
Why?
You see, Cebuco is part of what's known as the Red Zone in the Philippines. Put simply, this is the most dangerous section of the country.
The day it collapsed, there was 1,500 people. That is insane, bro. He just killed 1,500 people because he didn't care about the safety of his creation. That's unfortunate. It had such a cool reputation, too. It could be like a really cool tourist spot. But now nobody will want to go to the mall, even if it was rebuilt.
Especially for foreigners. Armed robberies, kidnappings, and even murders are not uncommon in this region, with over 40 Westerners going missing there in just the last decade. However, Elliot was well aware of this fact, as evident from his channel's description, which read, "I'm Elliot Eastman. I am 26 years old and I came to the Philippines about a year and a half ago, where I met the love of my life deep in the mountains of the Red Zone of the Philippines. I will be showing you my day-to-day life as the first and only foreigner to have ever lived here in Cebuco for a long period of time." He mentioned the danger in some of his video titles as well, but despite the threat to his life, he still wanted to build a life in Cebuco. So he rented an apartment and even built his own grocery shop near the beach, all while documenting the entirety of his journey on YouTube. Now, there were times when he felt threatened and had to hide from some locals to avoid getting in serious trouble. But despite the somewhat dire circumstances, Elliot was enjoying his time in Cebuco and slowly building the life he wanted. However, just when things were starting to look up for Elliot, tragedy struck. The incident took place on the night of October 17th, 2024, when, after doing several short live streams throughout the day, Elliot went offline and sat for dinner with his wife and her parents. But then, a few minutes later, 4 men with guns barged into their home and started telling Elliot to go outside. These men were also wearing outfits similar to those of the Filipino police, likely in hopes of making Elliot more cooperative. Elliot, however, saw through their disguise and tried to run away. Unfortunately, that's when things went from bad to worse. One of them opened fire and ended up shooting Elliot twice, once in the leg and once in the abdomen. They then dragged him onto the speedboat they had docked near their home and sped off into the darkness. This was the last time anyone saw Elliot alive. By the time the police launched a search and rescue mission, the kidnapper's boat was nowhere to be found. The investigation then went on for nearly a month until the 12th of November. But when the police eventually located the kidnappers, they were forced into a shootout, resulting in 3 of the 4 culprits losing their lives. And while they did manage to arrest the last kidnapper, it was already too late. According to the kidnapper, Elliot succumbed to his injuries when he was on the speedboat. So the kidnappers simply threw his body overboard to hide the primary evidence of their crime. Unfortunately, the police were unable to locate his remains and pronounced him officially dead in December of 2024. However, one question still remained unanswered. Why? Why did these 4 criminals target Elliot? Well, the simplest explanation is also the most likely one. They just wanted to kidnap him for ransom. Caresha even had a first-hand experience with this, as back in high school, one of her Canadian classmates was kidnapped and held for a ransom of $50,000 US. That said, there's also a second potential explanation that has to do with Elliot's side business. You see, while operating his grocery store, Elliot also started lending the locals money for 20% interest. A local loan shark likely saw him as a competitor and sought to eliminate Elliot before he took away any more of his business. This would also explain why the intruders were so quick to open fire if they wanted to hold him for ransom. Regardless of their motive, the end result was the loss of a young man trying to make a life for himself with his wife in a foreign land. His YouTube channel now sits abandoned, with its many...
Man, bro, rest in peace, bro. Rest in peace. Like, this man's super chill, just having a... having a YouTube channel, just enjoying life, and person just has to end it, man. So disgusting.
Uploads remaining as proof as the life he once lived.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
Benjamin Pardun, known online as Warner the Goobermeister, was a comedian creator on YouTube who primarily focused on creating a genre of memes known as YouTube poops, which is a subgenre of online humor that revolves around taking clips from other shows, usually cartoons, and editing them to have a bizarre, often nonsensical tone. Over time, Benjamin's channel had amassed over 8.7 million views, making him a well-known name in the YTP community. But after his upload on December 21st, 2021, he suddenly vanished from the internet, leaving his fans wondering what could have happened.
If I see the base 44... Yes, bro, I got that one again. Greed. Horrible greed. Yeah. So greedy. Because if it was for the ransom, it's most likely the ransom. So, wait, whatever happened to that girl they said they kidnapped for ransom? Man, that's so unfortunate. That's so sad.
Since 2017,
no, bro, it doesn't happen again. Oh my god. Hold up.
Elliot Eastman was a 26-year-old man from Benjamin Pardun, known online as Warner the Goobermeister, was a comedian creator on YouTube who primarily focused on creating a genre of memes known as YouTube poops, which is a subgenre of online humor that revolves around since December 21st, 2021, he suddenly vanished from the internet, leaving his fans wondering what could have happened. Unfortunately, the reason for his disappearance was far more tragic than simply getting bored and moving on from the channel, as most of his audience had assumed. The incident took place on the 27th of January 2022, when his older brother Chris tried to contact him many times but didn't hear back. Left with no other option, Chris called the police at around 8 p.m. to check on his parents and little brother. When the officers arrived at his house, the lights were on, but no one was answering the door. After repeated knocks, the officers knew something was off, so they decided to break in. But nothing could have prepared them for the horrific scene they saw behind that door.
Please don't. I hate gore. I hate gore.
Inside, they found the bodies of Benjamin and his parents, all with visible gunshot wounds. However, what looked like a robbery gone wrong turned out to be far more tragic. According to the investigation, both...
Thank you for joining us. Oh, he was so young. Oh my god, and his parents too.
Benjamin and his mother Deborah were shot by his father that evening.
His father?
After committing the crime, decided to end things for himself by his father that evening. Investigation, both Benjamin and his mother Deborah were shot by his father that evening, who, after committing the crime, decided to end things for himself as well. The news of this incident was a massive...
Oh my god. So they ended... So it's a double homicide and suicide. Why did he do that? Like, how could you have that mindset to kill the love of your life and your kid who came from the love of your life? What? Like, what goes through people's heads?
Shock for Benjamin's viewers, as he'd never mentioned any family troubles before. Chris later set up a GoFundMe page in November of 2022, which not only allowed Benjamin's fans to support the only living member of his family, it also gave some insight into what might have happened.
Only living member of his family? What a piece of bug droppings? Amen. Obsidian, that is the most unique insult I've ever heard. But yeah, piece of bug droppings, bro. I'm gonna use that now. That is so messed up. That dad, what is, like, I really want to know the intentions. So there was no family beef before then. So it's like, what was the point? Why?
According to Chris, Benjamin was born in 2005 and was soon diagnosed with autism. This made it difficult for him to interact with people in person. Because of this, he was homeschooled, and at just 8 years old, he started uploading on YouTube, hoping to make friends and find a sense of community. Sadly, Benjamin's condition was far from the only challenge their family had to face. Deborah was also suffering from nerve damage after an accident, and the father Gregory had also gotten in a car accident in the past and could barely walk. On top of that, the family was also struggling with severe financial issues, which could explain why Gregory felt the need to take such a drastic measure, seemingly out of nowhere. As Chris puts it, "My dad was a proud man. He was ashamed to ask or seek out help." Although Benjamin's content was somewhat niche, it left a big impact on those who came across it, with some even uploading new videos in his style to keep his memory alive.
Man.
Harley Dilly was a YouTube channel run by a 14-year-old teenager from
that makes me sad.
Ohio with the same name. He created the channel in 2013 to share his love of gaming, specifically the sports game Madden, with others. He also uploaded vlogs on YouTube, where he talked about anything that was on his mind that day. But for Harley himself, these were more than just videos. They were one of the many forms of escape he had from his troubled life. You see, Harley suffered from oppositional defiant disorder and was also diagnosed with high-functioning autism. This resulted in him getting into heated arguments with his parents quite often, and subsequently ending up in a worse situation. In one instance, he even posted a video talking about how he was locked out of the house after an argument with his mother, titled, "I'm Scared."
Hey guys, what's up? It is Harley Dilly. Probably one of my worst days in my life. I was at school and I was science test. I finished it and my computer says 1% battery left. So I get to the next class and I put it on charger as quick as possible, but it didn't charge. None of the computers would take a charge. So I took it back and I had to fill out a complaint, and that's one of the most expensive parts of the computer.
Are you kidding me? Just because he had autism? Yeah, just kicking him out. Because if you're going to have a kid with autism, bro, like, you should know how to handle it.
And my mom said she's not paying anything. We argued for about enough.
I have autism and I feel for the pain of these two. I have autism too. I was diagnosed with it when I was like, what, like 5? And, bro, autism sucks. I mean, no. Autism doesn't suck. Autism does not suck. Autism is a gift. Autism is a gift. It depends on how you look at it. Because I have autism. I feel that autism, sometimes I feel like, oh my god, I hate this, it ruins my life. But also, it helps give you a better view of the world. But it's also, man, I don't like to talk about it that much. I'm very, very insecure about it. So when you said that you had autism, it made me feel a little more open to say it. But yeah, I feel for these two. I do. And it just makes me so sad, bro. It's like seeing how some people aren't accepted just because they have autism, or are treated or looked at differently because they have autism. And that just makes me almost want to cry, bro. Like, just like being autistic and just knowing how that feels, bro. I got ADHD and autism. Bah. Excuse me. Dang. Yeah. So I do feel for these two also. Alright, let's keep watching.
A good 5 minutes. Then she snapped. She said she was gonna call police, and she said she already did.
What, bro?
And she locked me out of the house, so right now I'm outside.
Well, autism is one of the most unique things a human can have. Exactly. I feel you. Sometimes it feels wrong. Other times it's great. There's a reason why it's called the spectrum. Yeah, sometimes you just feel like you just like can envision things so good. Like you're just like,
yep, the house is locked. It is 3:30. I haven't ate anything, and I still haven't even got to get my work done. But
calling the fucking cops on a child. Exactly, bro. He probably didn't even do anything that bad that's worth calling the cops for.
She won't answer the phone.
There were also allegations of some of his family members being physically aggressive to him. But despite all this, Harley was still a cheerful kid who wanted nothing more than to play Madden and grow his YouTube channel. Unfortunately, this ambition was tragically cut short on December 20th, 2019, when Harley went to school and never came back.
What?
The day had started off rough. Harley was
the mother should be in prison for neglect and abuse, if the allegations are true.
Still upset after arguing with his parents the night before, as they had refused to replace his broken smartphone. He also didn't want to go to school that day. But his mother Heather woke up early that day and, after some more arguing, convinced him to go. He left his house just before 7 a.m. But he was somehow absent from school and didn't return home that evening either.
Oh, hugging me too.
Harley had disappeared without a trace. Surprisingly, his family didn't report him missing until 11:50 p.m. on December 21st.
Of course they didn't report him missing. That makes me so mad. This poor kid, bro. I want to give him a hug too, Val.
Nearly 43 hours after he vanished. Their explanation for the delay was simple. According to them, Harley had spent the night at friends' houses without telling them before, usually after an argument. They assumed this time was the same. However, they couldn't have been more wrong. Something that became increasingly clear as the police investigation dragged on for days without uncovering a...
Poor kid probably didn't want to go because he had social issues, I'm assuming. Yeah, they mentioned, I think, that he had social issues. I'm not too sure that they did, though. But, maybe that was the other kid. No, it was this kid, because, yeah, he had social issues, and that's why he's arguing with his parents.
Single clue about his whereabouts. The only thing they found was this low-resolution picture of Harley going to school that was taken from a neighbor's security camera. And that was it. Eventually, many other organizations, including the FBI, joined the search as well.
Oh, wow.
They also distributed his missing posters nationwide and offered an $18,000 reward, hoping to receive any information that could lead them in the right direction. Unfortunately, although they received numerous tips, none led to any significant progress in the case. That is, until the 13th of January, over 23 days after Harley went missing, when the investigators made the big discovery. They were recanvassing the area immediately surrounding Harley's home when one of the investigators decided to check out the vacant house directly across from the Dilley residence. This was a summer home and was fully locked at the time. There was also no indications of anyone breaking into the home. However, the investigators had looked everywhere else to no avail. This was one of their last options. So they acquired the key to this home and started looking around. They didn't find anything on the ground floor, but as soon as they climbed the stairs, one of them noticed a maroon puffer jacket lying on the ground, the same jacket that Harley was wearing on the morning of his disappearance. As they got closer, they also noticed his glasses lying on the floor as well, but there were no signs of Harley anywhere. Both the glasses and the jacket had also collected plenty of dirt, indicating that they must have been there for a long time.
I wasn't always here.
Are we serious? No,
but thanks to Purdue Global,
I swear to God,
I have
bro.
my literal dream
If it's
job.
what I'm thinking, I might actually cry. I am so sensitive, bro. If it's what I'm thinking, I might cry.
While they were looking around, one of the investigators noticed the chimney vent above where his glasses and jacket were discovered. This sort of vent is used to connect traditional wood-burning heaters. Curious to see what was in it, he reached into the hole, only for his hand to touch human hair on the other side. There was no doubt about it. That was Harley, stuck in the chimney. Officers quickly dismantled the wall, and sure enough, they found Harley's body inside, with his arms raised above his head. A later autopsy concluded that he likely passed away the day he went missing. His particular position at the time of discovery also helped investigators piece together what might have happened that day. As the story goes, Harley didn't want to go to school that day, so he decided to spend the time at the vacant home until the afternoon to make it seem like he went to school. But when he couldn't find a way in from the ground floor, he climbed onto the roof using the antenna tower beside the house. From there, he looked into the chimney and saw a relatively short drop and chose to climb down it to enter the house. However, what he failed to realize was that this chimney didn't lead to a spacious fireplace. Instead, it only connected to a couple of small vents for heater exhausts, leaving him stuck at the bottom. Due to the way he climbed down, his jacket was likely halfway removed already. So he pushed it through the vent to free up some space, and his glasses fell through as well. Sadly, there was nothing else he could do in that position. His chest was pressed tightly against the chimney's wall, making it impossible to breathe, resulting in him slowly succumbing to asphyxiation. Put simply, this was nothing more than a tragic accident. Now, given this conclusion...
It's not an accident, dude. It's because of his mom. I don't know if it's his mom's fault, really. Yeah, knowing he was just like screaming, that poor kid living such a rough life, bro. Rest in peace, bro. Rest in peace. I can't believe that.
Harley's case should have ended there. However, some people, especially his YouTube viewers, weren't satisfied with the official report. Many of them believed that this wasn't an accident at all. Rumors started going around the internet that Harley's death was actually a murder committed by his own family.
I don't
One of the first big points of contention was his jacket.
If his mom didn't push him to school, then this would have probably never happened. Exactly. Granted, I don't think it was smart to go down the chimney, really. I don't think it was that smart. But that doesn't mean... that doesn't change anything. That is so dark. That's so sad. His family had no reason to make his life... no right to make his life a living nightmare. Exactly, man. It's like... just like... trying to put myself in his shoes just bothers me. It's so disturbing.
Since in one of the evidence images it could be seen hanging from the door. These critics claim that this was proof of the whole story being a lie. Some also argued that the shoes he was wearing in his last picture didn't match the ones the investigators found on him. However, despite the skepticism, the police stuck with their initial report. As for the jacket issue, that turned out to be nothing more than the result of one of the inexperienced investigators mistakenly moving key evidence. That said, whatever the truth may be, it doesn't change the fact that the YouTube community lost a genuine and passionate creator.
Well, no, you lost the life of a cheerful, happy kid that didn't deserve to die. That's truly what happened.
Nicholas Sonderegger was a 28-year-old YouTuber who loved two things in life, longboarding and dancing. He uploaded nearly 80 videos of himself doing both of these on his channel named Sunspeak. Though his ultimate dream was to become a professional dancer. By 2017, he was living in San Diego with his friend Austin to try and make his dream come true. However, the two were completely broke and couldn't afford California's high rent prices. So, with no other option,
California does have high rent prices.
They decided to live in tents or random trailers they could find in the Salton Sea area. Salton Sea used to be a popular tourist destination at one point due to its status as an oasis in the middle of the desert. But the water and the surrounding area became
I've seen this guy before. Same. I've seen this guy a lot.
Extremely toxic over time, turning it into a complete ghost town. On the flip side, this also made living there essentially free, which is what Nick and Austin were after.
I don't know what happened.
But what neither of them knew at the time was that the true danger of Salton Sea had nothing to do with its toxic climate. This danger came face to face with the two on the night of September 9th, 2018 at around 2 a.m. They were asleep in their tent when suddenly they were jolted awake by an extremely loud...
performing in San Diego when me and my friends visited. Wait, really? That's insane. Yeah, that's wow.
Scream coming.
He probably was in San Diego, considering how. Because I'm pretty sure San Diego's close to California.
They decided to just ignore it altogether and go back to sleep. Or that's at least what Austin thought. For some unknown reason, Nick later 2018 at around 2 a.m. They were asleep in their tent when suddenly they were jolted awake by an extremely loud scream coming from the tree line, not far from their camp.
Oh my god.
Fearing for their safety, they decided to just ignore it altogether and go back to sleep. Or that's at least what Austin thought. For some unknown reason, Nick later decided to go investigate the scream on his own after Austin had fallen back asleep. By the time Austin woke up the next morning, Nick was gone. He tried looking around for his longtime friend around town and discovered his flashlight lying on the ground just a block away from their tent. He immediately contacted the police and reported Nick as missing, who began looking for him almost immediately. But all they found was one of his boots, his pants, and his knife sleeve. His other boot, as well as his wallet and keys, were missing. More importantly, Nick himself was nowhere to be found.
San Diego's in California.
What made the situation even more bizarre was what happened days later. Austin returned to...
Right in California. I didn't mean to say that. I said it stupid. I didn't mean to say that.
The same area he had already searched, but this time he found Nick's shirt and hat lying there, items that weren't there before. In other words, someone had likely placed them in that spot later. Sadly, the identity of this person was never uncovered, leaving Nick's case a complete mystery to this day. Nick's family has set up a website with all the information they have. They've also announced a $10,000 reward for any useful information. But despite these efforts, the case has remained cold. In fact, there are so few clues that I wasn't even able to find any solid theories either. Some have speculated that Austin might have killed Nick and hidden his body. However, the police investigation uncovered no evidence of foul play. There's still a chance that some unexpected discovery would crack this case wide open. But until then, Nick's disappearance remains an unsolved mystery, and his YouTube channel remains abandoned.
Wow, guys. For me, the chimney one was the most disturbing. That was... But it's not really about, like, which one's the most disturbing or scariest. It's just, like... But it's just that one. That was so bad. That was so bad. Oh, my God. Tinder meetups, bro. This is scary, bro. Oh, yeah, hold up. Hold up. Korean death mall incident. Okay. Rotten Mango is the one. Oh, I think we should do the short one. Not to be rude. I've seen worse. Yeah, I've seen worse. But yeah, it's disgusting. Oh, 502 dead and 40 missing inside high-end department store. Alright. Viber. I think we're gonna do the short one.
I'm Josh Christian. Many times, injured workers are left with permanent injuries.
I'm
and
not
restrictions
joining
that
this
prevent
channel.
them from returning
I just
to their job.
saw it for the first time.
10 floors of clothes and cosmetics.
In the mid-1980s, Seoul and other major metropolitan areas of Korea experienced
Oh my
incredible
God!
economic growth, especially in construction
That
and
is
retail.
insane.
The 1988 Summer Olympics that were to be held in Seoul, Korea, would add to this major boom for Korea's economy. Much like you hear in other cities that host the Olympics, Seoul was pushed into aggressive construction deadlines, adding to this that they could not hire outside foreign firms to assist in construction and design. Local media alleged that the local and regional construction firms were quickly overwhelmed in such a daunting task. Following those booming economic years of the 1980s, the 90s continued this trend of massive economic growth, which was especially the case in downtown Seoul, Korea's heart and capital. 6-lane highways, high-rise office blocks, plush department stores, high-fashion restaurants, billboards, neon, the bustling city center. Seoul was starting to look like something out of Blade Runner. Construction and retail firms benefiting from...
Well, yeah, it does. Seoul looks insane, bro.
This massive economic
Bro,
boom
what is that ad in the top right corner? Jesus
expand
Christ.
unchecked, struggling to keep up with this economic explosion. Upmarket
So
stores
frustrating.
to try and cater to the ever-progressive tastes, buildings growing larger and larger to accommodate all the people pushing this economic transformation. The 4-story below ground, 5-story above ground, 9-story total Sampoong Mall was the epitome of this new high-fashion, upmarket, mall-style department store. The Woosun Company, an outside construction firm, had began work on the Sampoong Mall, building the foundation, building the first 4 floors below ground. However, the Woosun Company, for reasons we'll get into in a bit, had backed out
This guy's voice is so calm, chat. My God.
of construction after these were complete. The executives for Sampoong then decided to hand construction over to local firms that they had more control over. Sampoong's in-house construction firms, so to speak, finished the above-ground 4 stories and added a 5th floor, which ended up being a complete revision from the ground up, literally. These 4 floors and the 5th floor were not built according to the structure's original plans. The 5th floor, not even being included in the original plans, was added as a late addition. The Sampoong Department Store Mall would open in July of 1990 to much fanfare. Tens of thousands of shoppers daily were hosted at the Sampoong Mall, and in today's money, approximately $1 million a day in retail revenue. Unique at the time in both external facade.
I'm assuming because of deadlines and budget, they had to cut costs. This is bad. Yeah.
As well as interior amenities, the Sampoong Mall was extremely popular. It was a central hub in this area of Seoul. Those unique amenities inside, more importantly, being the central atrium and the escalators leading from top.
Aw, this person's aunt died, bro. Rest in peace. Yeah, 10 years is not enough. We just wanted to save money. Yeah, but like, bro, you can't just rush something like this. Something like this is something that needs to have, like, it takes time. You can't rush it, you know?
To bottom. These incredibly popular indoor aesthetics were hiding a massive amount of corner cutting. They were hiding structural weaknesses that normal day-to-day visitors would have no idea.
This reminds me of another video I watched where the police was actually doing the job of keeping people safe. Nice. Pretty sure the escalators were replaced wrong? Damn. That's
even
crazy.
existed inside the structure. In 1995, cracks and leaks began to show in the 5th floor, leading to inspections on several occasions. However, no major actions were taken. Instead, the 5th floor would eventually become unused and merchandise would be shuffled down to lower floors, and the Sampoong Mall executives and managers would...
Wow. So they just, instead of maybe deciding, hey, we should do something about this because this is obviously a red flag, let's just move it down to a lower level and make it to where nobody can go up there. Like, that is peak stupidity. Like, who does stupid stuff like that?
About keeping the
that
mall
makes me
open
so
regardless
mad.
of these 5th floor inconveniences. In June of 1995,
So
these
lazy.
cracks
How are you lazy in your construction worker?
and leaks became
It's your job.
even worse, to the point where the vibration of the air conditioners could be felt throughout the entire structure, leading to even more inconvenience, such as no climate control during the summer, water coming in by the bucket load through these cracks, which led to more government inspections. However, these inspections were passed once again. On June 29th of 1995, proper structural engineers were brought in to have a closer look at just what the heck was going on with this building's.
One of the stories that happened was a guy who took a lot of drugs and decided to bring a gun to the library, and he shot 11 people, killing 3. Jeez, bro. That's sad, bro. That's what drugs can do to people.
Internal structure. So on that same day, those structural engineers were, needless to say, alarmed. And if you've gotten an idea by now of how the Sampoong company operated, when those engineers warned the Sampoong executives, the executives disagreed. These structural engineers attempted to impress upon them that it was crucial they evacuate the building and begin a more thorough evaluation as to how these problems can be resolved. Sampoong executives disagreed with this and did not take any further action. On that same day, the 29th of June 1995, just prior to 6 p.m., the Sampoong Mall and department store collapsed. The search and rescue efforts of this tragic and unimaginable disaster went on for days and then weeks, the final survivor, Park Sung-hyun, being pulled out after 17 days. Reports conflict at the exact number, but at this point, roughly 500 people had been found dead.
Oh,
so you might be asking yourself, how the hell could something like this happen?
All 3. And he shot children as well? The reason why he did it is because his girlfriend broke up with him and he had died, as he said, no one was hurt, right? Wow, bro. All because, like, bro, people go crazy over girls, I'll say that. Like, oh my god, bro. Shooting at children, bro, that's so messed up. People are so messed up. Like, this world, man. So disappointing, the world we live in.
Well, I'll preface it by saying on June 20th...
We've seen it in every single video that we've watched today, bro. Just like horrible people. I'm pretty sure they were going to close it, but since it was summertime and sales were going, they wanted more money, so they decided not to. It's so dumb. And look at this. Look what it cost. Oh my god. The entire thing.
9th, the day the execs were warned to evacuate the building, they got out just fine before it collapsed.
Oh yeah, of course they got out just fine. Yeah, they got out just fine. Maybe they probably didn't even leave an announcement for anybody to be like, hey, maybe evacuate this building. It's about to collapse and we know it, so we're just gonna leave and be selfish for ourselves.
Remember those Olympic Games we brought up in the 1980s? This created a culture of construction and retail corruption in order to keep up with this economic boom that ended up sweeping the nation. It wasn't just Seoul and their metropolitan area that were experiencing this unchecked growth, it was the entire nation. This sort of economic growth would normally be considered a good thing, and it was in many ways, except due to this growth, regulations and building standards and engineering standards began to receive shortcuts in just about every way you could imagine in order to accommodate this.
That was great money bag, because they should have been the one who stayed. Exactly, Obsidian. They should have been the one who stayed.
This became systemic in Korea's construction culture. Corruption, handing it off to the who-you-knows to just get the job done as quickly as possible. The Sampoong Mall was only unique in scale. In October of '94, a section of a bridge in Seoul, a major highway network bridge, collapsed during morning rush hour. 32 perished. In April of '95, approximately 100 people perished during an explosion due to negligence at a subway construction site. By the time the final survivor had been pulled from the rubble at the Sampoong department store collapse, public outcry in Korea had reached explosive levels, and its citizens were not going to tolerate this out-and-out corruption and negligence any longer. In this era of economic growth in Korea, Sampoong was also the first to bring about a major investigation into an incident like this by the authorities. The investigation would bring on board a major university in Seoul, Korea, and began straight away. Some of the investigations taking place even during the rescue efforts, while the elevator shafts and other portions were still just barely standing.
Wow, those 2 children, bro, all died because of greed. World sucks,
photographs, measurements, installing sensors as quickly as possible. Some of the initial findings were that Sampung was constructed in what's called a flat slab type of framework, where there are no steel crossbeams and the concrete itself bears the entire load of the structure. One of the professors was quoted as saying, "The fitting of the floors and columns and all the concrete is absolutely crucial in the design and construction, as they are the framework themselves. It has to be erected exactly as designed."
Look at how like skinny that concrete was, bro.
It has to be perfect. Referring to
profits lead to negligence. Negligence leads to death. How do you spit bars like that, bro? Obsidian spits bars, bro. I completely agree. Negligence leads to death. Stupid people. Really stupid people, man.
the original plans. Without cross beams and a flat slab construction, you cannot deviate from those original plans, as those determine the load-bearing factors of the building, and there are no other methods of load transmission on any of the floors to begin modifying these plans after you've started construction. These initial findings explained why the building pancaked so hard when it collapsed, like cards falling horizontally into a stack. After this, they found that substandard concrete had been used. Holed and pitted concrete was obvious to the trained eye. However, this was not the entire culprit, as they were not able to determine how much of the substandard concrete had been used now that the building was nearly demolished. They needed more
Another
hard
one
evidence.
was after the store had collapsed, people wanted a memorial, but the president or something said no. Putting in the park because it would ruin the parks. It's so messed up, bro. My God.
As to what the actual root causes were, Wusung had began construction of this foundation on a former landfill site. This fell under much scrutiny due to it being on a landfill. However, just because something is built on a landfill does not mean that it's built in a substandard fashion. They found that Wusung had done their homework. Wusung had built a very solid foundation on bedrock, and not simply loosely or cutting corners in order to build on this landfill site. After this, the investigators began digging into the original designs and plans of the building. They were astounded to find that this building was originally planned to simply be an office complex. This meant that it would not contain any central atrium cutouts. It would not contain any escalator cutouts. An office building of this design with flat slab construction would have no issue.
Because if they place the escalators wrong, that can do a lot.
In load bearing, Sampung wanted to deviate so much from these original plans that Wusung grew uncomfortable with this and backed out entirely. The center atrium cutouts, the escalator cutouts, removed a massive amount of load bearing. The 5th floor addition was even more of an issue, investigators found, as it went from being a retail level to a restaurant level, which meant even more load capacity was needed. And at the time, it was traditional for Koreans to sit on the floor and dine, which required heating beneath the floor, an additional layer of concrete in order to make this heating possible. The restaurant required freezers and coolers for the food, and on and on. The 5th floor was completely incompatible with what was already poor modification to the original design. Adding to this, even more windows were added along the walls of the structure, reducing load capacity. The building was in dire need of more support columns, but in this flat slab construction, they have to be in line with each other from the lower floors all the way to the top, so that the load bearing takes place evenly. When Sampung and their in-house construction firms decided to add more columns, they did so without those columns being on top of the next column below. This was an absolute cardinal sin of building construction, as this transmitted the load between the columns directly to just the simple floor that each column was supporting. This would
The air conditioners were so big and heavy on the roof, or somewhere by the roof, that the roof was quite literally cracking. Yeah, and they saw the cracking. They saw the cracking and didn't do anything about it.
cause load-bearing columns
closed down the 5th floor. So dumb.
Punch through floors above and below, ultimately causing the pancaking effect that investigators saw. But the building stood for so many years in this state. What was the straw that broke the camel's back?
Games went downhill when they got rid of cheats. We're bringing them back. Wiimote gives you dozens of cheat codes for thousands of games. I could walk you through all of them, but honestly, you should just try yourself.
What?
The only thing we didn't bring back was all of these button presses. Now, it's just one click.
What? This is illegal. Wow, okay.
The massive air conditioning cooling blocks that were intended originally to be located on the ground, the building plans The cooling blocks themselves all initially planned for these to be on the ground level and not supported by the structure. When running, these cooling blocks caused complaints from nearby neighbors. Sampoon then decided to mitigate these complaints by placing these cooling blocks on the roof of the structure, a roof and structure that had already been pushed to its limit. The position in which these cooling blocks were placed initially caused more complaints by the neighbors once turned on. Sampoon then decided to relocate these air conditioning cooling blocks again to a different spot on the roof, and during this relocation decided against using a crane to lift them from one spot to the other, and instead slid them on blocks, transferring their weight all across the roof, across these portions of the structure that had been strained so heavily already, which is what began causing the cracking, the leaking, and the spider webs that people could see spanning the walls of the 5th floor. The lead professor from the university performing these investigations stated, "This weakened the entirety of the roof, and cracks were clearly visible afterward. We concluded that a lot of this structural damage was caused when they moved the cooling blocks." The investigators even found more secondary issues, like additional cost cuttings in the support beams of lower floors. The columns did not meet the width they were supposed to be at. The concrete columns were supposed to have, for example, 16 iron bars, and instead this was cut back to 8. Every subsequent floor above, the loads were undercalculated or completely miscalculated at this point. In addition to structure being removed to punch holes for the atrium for the escalators, Sampoon was found to have removed columns that got in the way of more retail space. This is why columns were placed sporadically and not maintained where they needed to be. The entire structure was just waiting to come down all those years, and the cooling blocks being placed on top and relocated was the straw that broke the camel's back. And to top this all off, those structural engineers that performed that final inspection before the building collapsed, as stated before, they had warned the Sampoon executives that the building was at risk of collapse and to evacuate the structure. However, Sampoon executives noted that day's foot traffic and revenue was particularly high, and they did not want...
Oh my god. Oh my god. Did y'all...
executives that the building was at risk of collapse and to evacuate the structure. However, Sampoon executives noted that day's foot traffic and revenue was particularly high, and they did not want to risk losing it.
So, you decide you don't want to lose your... Oh my god! Your company business! It will cost more to... Hundreds of people dying, bro. Hundreds of people dying is not as important as your money income.
And thus they only evacuated themselves. All of these findings inflamed the outrage of citizens and families of people that had suffered from this loss. This led to a nationwide revisit of how these high-rise structures were regulated. An investigation soon after concluded that
Well, they did everything wrong with construction. It's like greed and stupidity. That's really what it is. Stupidity, they barely know their knowledge in construction. And or greedy.
% of high-rise structures across Korea met construction regulations and standards. 84% were in need of repair work, and 14% were at risk of complete failure and needed to be rebuilt. Public pressure from the families of victims lost to this tragedy, of those outraged by this entire situation in Korea, finally led to charges being brought and a trial held for the Sampoon executives and those involved in December of '95. On the 27th of December, the Sampoon chairman, Jun Lee, sentenced to 10 years of jail time for criminal negligence. His son, Han Sang-lee, sentenced to 7 years for corruption and homicide due to negligence. This case opened the door
homicide, which should be way more than 10
however.
years.
12 other local officials.
Also, remember for the Ryan English channel that a person from the Korean government was given a speech about it, and he said after the speech, okay, that was good enough. I think. Yeah, they were put in jail. But for 10 years, bro? That's homicide. It should be like so much years. Yeah, he needs life. Like Val said, bro. Okay, that was good enough, bro. Like,
that had been taking bribes in order
oh
for
my
these
God, that
types
makes
of
me so mad.
structures to quote-unquote pass inspections were also found guilty. $330 million was awarded in total to the families of the victims of this disaster. The Lee family, the execs of Sampoong, also liquidating their entire family's wealth in order to contribute to this payment to the
that's
families.
like basically murdering
Inadequate
500
inspections,
people.
false
Like, is that not literally murdering 500 people? That should be life.
certifications, corner cutting, corruption culture led to the largest peacetime
Yo, what's good, Pluto? We are watching some depressing crap, bro. This is so sad.
disaster in Korean history.
Wow, bro. Let's keep watching. That is so, like, that just makes me mad, bro. It's not even like that's scary, really. Well, it kind of is scary. But that just makes me mad. Like, genuinely frustrates me. How people can be so greedy.
Since 2000.
Okay. Chat, which one should we watch on here? Is really disturbing. Yeah, I mean, I bet. Because that one's long. Like, way longer. Oh, I love field trips.
This isn't just any
Let's
chat.
see how this changes.
It's click-up chat. Sure, you can tag your team, ask questions.
Alright, chat. Yeah, we can do the Red Up Peaceful one next, definitely, though. This is going to be a long stream, as y'all can tell. It's, I don't know how long it is already.
My school kind of believed in the idea that field trips hold a lot of educational value, and that's something I would definitely agree with. We went to a lot of different places.
Oh, come on, man. It's one of these first-person ones. It's alright. We can do it. We can do it. Bro, play.
But no matter what, at least once every year, our class would go to the zoo. I was in 7th grade.
Oh, he's like reading off of like the. Yeah, okay. Reading off of it. Okay. I get it.
It was near the end of the school year, and this is the
86 minutes? Dang, so like an hour and 26 minutes.
Our school was scheduled to take that trip.
Is my math right?
Now, we didn't live near a big city, so we weren't able to go to some big city zoo. Rather, we went to this smaller, but still decently sized zoo surrounded by forest. It was actually really well known where we lived, so despite its location, it saw a decent amount of business. Nowadays, however, I think the place went out of business, but I could be wrong. Our class had about 40 people. We would all travel in one group and take a predetermined...
Only 40 people is crazy. And you know, one of my stories that takes place in the school only has 40 people. 42.
Our class had about 40 people. We would all travel in one group and take a predetermined route. But what sucked is, because we had such a big group, we didn't move quick enough to be able to see the whole zoo.
How is 40 a big group? Like, bro, my school literally has 200 kids in this grade. I'm pretty sure. No, I think it's like 400. Yeah, like 400. No wonder it's so hard finding my crush. Because there's 400 people.
To get around this, my friend Carson and I would sneak away from the group and create our own route just for the two of us.
What?
Heads were counted at the start of the trip, at lunch, and at the end of the trip. So as long as we made sure to be with the group at those times, we knew no one would notice. Not even 10 minutes after our group set off, and we split away. We explored different parts of the zoo all the way up until lunch. When lunch came, we inserted ourselves back.
How'd they know lunch came? See, this might be fake. Because how did they know that lunch came?
Back into the group like nothing even happened. It went so smooth, in fact, that we had planned to do the exact same thing after lunch. Even with our pace, there were a few enclosures we didn't get to see yet. One I really wanted to see was the bat enclosure. It was actually probably the enclosure the zoo was most known for. They had this whole cave entrance setup, man-made of course, and inside were the bats themselves. But it was cool because they had to like reverse simulate night and day with the lights, so that way the bats would be awake when the zoo had visitors. This meant that during the day, besides a few dim black lights to let visitors see, it was completely dark. So, once lunch ended, we once again split from the group, and this time headed to the bat enclosure.
Turn into Batman or something?
Like how I just described, it was dark.
Bats are cool.
I could tell there were a few other people in there.
Bats are like really underrated. Like they're like pterodactyls. Like they're so eerie in my opinion, but like also super cool.
Not too many. I was physically pointing something out to Carson when I felt someone grab my arm with a good amount of force.
This is fake. I don't want to watch this. Let's do the Reddit one. My bad, chat, if y'all were invested. But that was fake. Yeah, the Reddit post one.
Zaxby's put the lemon pepper you love on the chicken you love.
Who's got the sauce?
Zaxby's.
Uthana gets your characters moving in seconds. Here's how. Simply type in the motion you'd like your character to do, such as run and turn 90 degrees, jumping jacks, attack with sword.
In November of 2013, a Reddit account that's since been deleted made a post on the Let's Not Meet subreddit. r/Let's Not Meet is a subreddit where people share actual true scary encounters they've experienced. The poster explains how he had just found the subreddit and wanted to post an experience of his own. He lived in Brisbane, Australia at the time. He recalls how his dad had just purchased Foxtel, which was cable TV in Australia. Only the TV in the lounge room could use the cable box, but the poster really wanted to use it in his room downstairs. He didn't want to buy a second cable box, so he instead opted to buy an AV transmitter, a much cheaper option. An AV transmitter was basically a two-part piece of hardware. One piece would connect to the cable box upstairs in the lounge room, and the other would connect to the TV back downstairs. It would then transmit a wireless signal. This would allow him to receive a video signal to his TV downstairs.
It's a YouTube channel that's reacted to a lot of true crime, and he's a VTuber, so if you want to look at some of his videos he's looked at, I can send in this. Yeah, definitely send some. I might not do too much more though, because I'm starting not to feel too good. Like my head's starting to hurt, so this may be my last one. I'll see how I feel.
The first image in the post shows the TV in the room on the dresser.
But you can send them anyway, so I can do them next time.
The poster goes on to explain how he and his sister were the only ones home.
Black boy is here. Beast, I didn't know you were black. Let's go. You're back. Yeah, we are watching very disturbing stuff right now.
When he decided he wanted to try and set it up. He connected the AV transmitter to the cable box upstairs and to his TV downstairs, but it wasn't working. He tried changing the channel, switching around the cables, nothing was working.
Yeah.
That's when he remembered that the cable box upstairs wasn't even plugged in, so obviously it wasn't going to work. But the screen then started fuzzing in. After a while, a bedroom could be seen on the TV. Immediately, he pulled out his phone and took a picture.
I'm doing my homework right now. No worries.
At first, he thought it was his bedroom, so he ran out. He went upstairs to tell his
I ain't got no homework to do, thankfully.
Sister. They later went back down. The TV was still getting a signal, but they had no idea how. The AV receiver plugged in was somehow receiving a live feed. They were able to confirm that it wasn't the poster's bedroom, or any bedroom in the house. They waited until their parents got home, and when they did, they told them about it. All of them went down to the TV. This time, there was a man in the bedroom.
What?
The poster took another picture. He then explained how his dad recognized the man as one of their neighbors. Somehow the AV transmitter was receiving their neighbor's camera feed. None of them really knew what to do. This went on for a week, and they started feeling kind of weird having access to this.
Yeah, I would too.
The poster went on to explain how their neighbors had been having renovations done to their house. Workers would be at the place pretty much all day. They again tried turning on the TV to fix the signal. It was still showing their neighbor's bedroom, but this time they saw their neighbor's plumber. Eventually, he went right up to the camera and looked directly down the lens. He started messing with it before putting it back. The poster's dad told their neighbor about the camera, but they had no idea what he was talking about. He convinced them to let him go up to the room to try and find the camera. Hidden in the wall, he did find it. They immediately called the police. The poster didn't hear anything more for the next week, but they eventually asked their neighbors whatever
He
came
does
of the
that,
situation.
but I can send it. So I'll
Apparently,
send it to
the
YouTube.
police camped out
If it
by the
doesn't
house
send
each
here, you
night
can
and
send
found that
it.
one car in particular would always park right next to it at the
Oh,
same
you
time.
sent it to
A man inside would pull up his laptop,
Discord,
but not get
but-
out of the car. He would drive off before the sun came up. The man was discovered to be the plumber, the man who planted the camera. That's where the post ends. In a reply comment, the poster confirmed the man was arrested, but he doesn't mention what he all got charged with. This post was a reply comment in an Ask Reddit thread. The original question read, "What is the creepiest thing that has ever actually happened to you?" One of the top comments is a guy who recalls a set of disturbing experiences he had throughout his life. He says they're 100% true, and even shares a video he took as supporting evidence. He starts by sharing an experience he had when he was 8 years old. It was 11 p.m., and he was walking his dog with his mom out in his neighborhood, which was in Lansing, Michigan.
But this is so creepy.
He said it was quiet that night, but all of a sudden he could hear this whistling sound coming from a nearby swamp. His mom heard it too. He said at first it sounded like a bird, but the whistle had a more human-like tone and wasn't really consistent, making him think it was a person. He remembers his mom looking very concerned and immediately changing directions back towards the house.
Good.
That was the first experience. The second happened 2 years later. He was again taking his dog for a walk out late at night, but this time alone. He heard the whistling again, and immediately remembered how he felt the first time he heard it 2 years ago.
Lansing, Michigan, that's like
to the
very
house.
close to where I am. Dang, Val, if you hear whistling dip.
Nothing would happen for years after that.
I don't mean to be rude, by the way. Or, like, not rude. I don't mean to scare you. I'm very tired right now. I was, like, up at 4 o'clock watching Stranger Things when it used to be good, season 3.
He was now 24 and had moved away from Michigan to South Dakota. For the 4th of July, he
Okay,
and
so
his
you're not near South Dakota, right? Because you just moved.
girlfriend decided to sit along the bank of the Missouri River, a somewhat popular spot to watch fireworks from a distance. Most of
So
the
why
other
isn't
people had
anyone
moved
there?
upriver to get a better view,
Oh.
leaving them pretty much alone. That's when he once again heard whistling, reminding him of the 2 experiences he had years ago now when he was a kid. This time he pulled out his phone and started recording. It picked up the whistling.
Are we gonna hear it?
He attached the recording to his reply comment.
Oh, we got to add before we can see it. That's funny. But why do we keep... I'm not playing War of World Ships. Hold up, no way, it's it.
We've destroyed an enemy
This man
cruiser.
has aimbot. Okay. Oh, we're about to hear it? Oh my god. If you hear whistling dip. Okay, we're about to hear it. If you hear this near you, Val, run. Wait, so they're in South Dakota. So maybe the whistling is just drawn to him or something. Oh, I'm about to cry. That is so creepy. Oh my, that's so disgusting creepy. That is so disgusting. And that's not a bird or anything. That's a human. That's a human whistle. That is so disgusting and creepy. That is a human whistle. That is a human whistle. Oh, I want to cry.
You whistling? Is it you?
He questioned
It's so close too.
his girlfriend, hoping that this
Oh, he has his girlfriend with
time
him?
it was
Nice.
just her. But it wasn't her. The whistling continues until eventually the 2 of them hear slight paddling out
What
in
if
the water.
he's just whistling, gang? I know. But it did sound kind of far.
He turns the camera, and in the darkness, you can just barely make out a man in a canoe slowly paddling towards them.
It's the man in the canoe.
that's where the video ends. But he did say that when the man got close enough to the shore, he stood up and yelled out, "Who are you?" To this, the man then simply turned around and started slowly paddling back towards the way he came without saying a word. That was the last time he ever heard the whistling. He still doesn't know what to make of it.
That's so creepy.
To think somebody would have stalked him all those years from Michigan to South Dakota doesn't exactly seem the most likely. But it's still possible.
Yeah.
He basically ends the reply comment with many unanswered questions. Like, who was the guy in the canoe? And was it the same guy he heard whistling when he was a kid?
Whatever, just wants
what
to
does the guy want from him?
I'm saying...
He doesn't know the answers to these questions. But
paddling away immediately and not...
Might sometime
paddling away immediately and not answering is so eerie, bro.
Whistling again. I wanted to take a minute to talk about this video's sponsor, Established Title. The refer Adam figure that global titles next title of a Reddit post. Roommate wanted, female only.
What?
This was the title of a Reddit post uploaded almost 10 years ago now.
A female only? Shoot.
Refers to the title of a Craigslist ad a girl named Amanda had seen while looking for a place to rent. The post consists of her detailed experience.
There's like an opening.
Amanda was browsing the internet when she came across the ad.
Fudge.
The listing was for a room in a house for $225 a month, which was pretty cheap for the area. The occupant listed herself as a 23-year-old college student who wasn't comfortable living with any males. Amanda would get her own room and bathroom. The only thing was the Craigslist ad only had one picture. It was a picture of the outside of the house. There were no pictures of the inside.
I see it.
But still interested, Amanda sent an email to the occupant. In less than an hour, she got an email back with all the details and the time to stop by. The time said 8 p.m., past when it would have gotten dark. In the email, the occupant said this was because she worked late. So, that night at 8 p.m., Amanda arrived at the house. She walked up to the front door and was met by a handwritten note that said, "Door broken, use back door." She started walking around towards the back, and as she did, she noticed how unkempt the place looked. The windows were covered in dust, and the grass was way overgrown. She knocked on the back door.
Females only sketchy? Yeah, I was making jokes about it, but yeah, that is low-key super sketchy. That's probably ran like by the creepiest male ever. Not to be like, have a dirty mind and immediately go to thinking of that, but that's what I'm thinking. That like, it was created by a creepy man who's just like trying to get females, which would be a goated strategy if it wasn't creepy, which it is, so it's not a goated strategy. I just need to stop talking.
At first, she thought she was at the wrong house, but the guy went on to explain how he was the landlord and that the occupant asked him to show her around.
I wish I had.
The post described him as clearly in his 40s, unshaven, and a guy who looked like he lived in his car. A bit hesitant, Amanda stepped inside and allowed the man to give her a tour.
See, a man. No, I would leave. No. I would leave right then and there. A female's only cabin with a man as the owner? No. If I was a female, I'd leave.
Immediately, she noticed the place had no furniture whatsoever. There was only one light on, the light in the kitchen. The landlord would answer questions, but was irritable to keeping lights on for too long. He rushed her around, only letting her look in rooms for a few seconds. They eventually got to one room that the landlord wouldn't open. He said it was the occupant's room and that she wouldn't want them to go in there. As they were heading back to the living room, Amanda noticed a plank nailed across the front door. She tried to get out of there, thanking the owner for the tour and heading back towards the back door. That's when the man perked up and mentioned how he forgot to show her the basement. He explained how it was just recently furnished and would make for a great rec room. He was standing between her and the back door. She felt like she had no other choice. He opened the basement door, saying,
"You're back, bet.
Ladies first," as he motioned her downstairs.
So, the female cabin is owned by a man. See, that's when me as a female, no, I'm not a female. That sounded wrong. I'm not a female. I'm a male. But if I was a female, that's where I would leave, bro. I would just leave. If there was a man owning a female's only cabin, no. Yeah, why do we need to see the rape room? The basement. But I was thinking, like, all this guy wants to do is, like, just rape and kill them. I'm just being honest. Like, that's what he wants to do. And it's so disgusting.
Just then, an unrelated car parked outside on the street. At the exact same time, Amanda received a text on her phone. She pretended it was a call and faked a conversation about her friend being outside waiting to pick her up. She quickly excused herself, leaving the back door and now full-on sprinting to her car.
Yeah, see, she got the vibe immediately. She got the
EVE
vibe.
Online is a vast universe, alive with the unrelenting activity and combined history.
When she got home, she called the cops. She tried going back to the Craigslist ad, but it was deleted.
Deleted?
It turns out the house had been foreclosed over 6 months earlier. The property was completely abandoned. There was never any real occupant or any real room to rent.
So
the room
why
the man didn't want to show her on the tour turned out to be the room he lived in.
Oh.
But the worst part was the basement. Police found a piece of fishing line at shin level strewn across the stairs about halfway down. There was no furniture down there as the man had said. There was nothing but a pile of old blankets, a broom handle wrapped in leather belts, and a small box with rolls of duct tape.
Oh
the poster never mentioned if the man was caught or not.
Bro, oh my god. She made the best decision getting out of there.
In 2014, Jenny, a single mother, would make a post on Reddit titled, "Experience using Sleep as Android app."
Yo, quick side note, bro. Being a single mother would be terrifying, bro. Like, that actually would be terrifying, being a single mother. Just, like, put yourselves in the shoes of a mother who has to basically be on her guard, like, all day for her kids and for herself without having anyone to help her. Being a single mother would suck.
Sleep as Android is an app that's supposed to help you improve your sleeping habits. It's basically a more advanced alarm. It will track your sleep cycles and wake you up at the most beneficial time. One of the features of the app is that it records audio during the night. In the post, Jenny explains how she had the app for a few months. She would sometimes review the audio, but all she ever heard was herself coughing, moving around in bed, stuff like that. That was until one night, when at 2:04 a.m., the app caught something different. Jenny was going through the recordings to delete them when she found it. She posted the audio along with the Reddit post.
What are you doing? Okay. Single mother, by the way.
Clearly, a male voice can be heard responding to Jenny's sleep talking. She says, "What are you doing?" To which another voice quickly replies, "Nothing." Some clicking sounds then start up before the voice speaks again, although it's not clear what's said this time. The only two people in the room that night were Jenny and her 3-year-old. But the voice that's talking sounds much deeper, something that neither Jenny or her 3-year-old could have replicated. One Redditor took it so far as to test this. In a post titled, "The voice in the famous sleep app recording is not the woman talking
Yeah, it could be a little fake. Yeah, that is easy to fake.
to herself," he gives proof to prove his point. He basically goes into detail about how the human voice works, and that the pitch of the voice in the audio clip couldn't have been replicated by the woman. Her voice was just too high. He even reached out to her and got further samples of her voice to confirm this. This led many to believe that she was the victim of a home invasion, and that someone was in the process of searching her bedroom for things to steal.
Wow.
But to this day, we still don't know. The man in the audio clip was never identified. The original poster has since moved to a different house.
Rightfully so.
In 2012, an Ask Reddit thread was posted with the title, "What is the creepiest true story someone has ever told you?" A comment that has since been deleted by the user recounts an experience her parents had told her, where they had unknowingly encountered the serial killer Ted Bundy on their first date. It was around the time in the day where the two would have said goodnight, when the male in the situation suggested they go for a midnight hike up Provo Canyon in Utah. He was familiar with the place and didn't want the date to end, so he figured it was a good idea. She agreed, so they drove up to the mouth of the canyon, got out, and started hiking with only the light provided by the moon.
What?
The two started getting a bad feeling when they came up to a section of path under some trees, which had no access to light. The path was almost pitch black, but they continued on. As they kept walking, the man felt his foot hit something soft directly in the middle of the path. It was too dark to see anything. Instead of inspecting it, the both of them agreed to turn around and run back to the car. They soon forgot about it, until many years later, after being married for some time, when they were watching an interview with Ted Bundy around the time he had been captured. The interviewer asked him to describe the time that he felt the closest to being caught. Ted Bundy proceeded to explain the night that he lured a girl into Provo Canyon and took her life. He said that shortly after, he heard a couple walking up the trail and managed to hide in the trees just before they would have been able to see him. A man then walked directly into the woman's body, but for some reason just turned around and walked away. That night, the poster's father had walked directly into a corpse without even realizing it. The serial killer Ted Bundy was only feet away from him, and he had no idea. That was where the reply comment ended.
So terrifying. Alright, chat. I think that might be it for me. Actually, we could do a few more. By the way, Val, about that VTuber you were talking about, I'm gonna do a separate video reacting to those. But that is insane. That's creepy. Bro, I just don't know what these diving videos could be, bro.
Thanks to Purdue Global, I got my literal dream job.
Getting a degree backed by the power of Purdue? Hey,
But going to class from wherever.
In September 2019,
I'm not
40-year-old
sleeping tonight,
Stephen
for
Weber
real.
Jr. and his girlfriend Kenesha Antoine went on a vacation to Pemba Island. Stephen had been dating Kenesha for a while by this point and had planned to propose to her during this trip. What neither of them knew, however, was that the happiest trip of their lives was about to turn into an irreversible tragedy. The groundwork for this tragedy was laid when the two arrived at the island and checked in to stay at the Manta Resort.
I just remembered I don't like this stuff. Oh, I hate the sea. Oh, so no. Can't do it. Chat freaks me out. My bad. I don't. No, I'm not watching these confessions. That's so creepy. Bruh say gang-a-lang. Ooh, internet
Persistent
mysteries.
trip. On August 14, 2012, a user named Amos No More uploaded a video titled Persistent Trip to Tura.
I've seen this. Sorry, chat. I'm sorry. I've seen this. Man.
On July 30th, 2010, three men were drinking together in a backyard in Richland County, South Carolina. The names of the men were Leslie Todd Parvin, Edgar Lopez, and Pablo Gutierrez Guzman. At some point in the afternoon, an argument broke out between the three men, and Leslie ended up pulling a handgun from his waistband and taking the lives of the two other men. It's unclear exactly what sparked the argument between the three men, but immediately after the shooting, Parvin fled to Louisiana in his green Kia minivan. Once there, he shaved his head and destroyed both the gun he had used to take the lives of his two victims, as well as the minivan. For a few days, Parvin managed to elude the authorities, but pretty soon the cops started scanning through license plate records of all green Kia vans registered in Louisiana. According to investigation documents, after the double murder, a witness had reported a partial tag of Parvin's minivan to the police. And a couple days later, on a whim, the cops plugged the suspect's address into Google Maps Street View, and sure enough, found a green minivan parked in front of his house with the license plates and description matching what the witness had told them. With that kind of evidence stacked against him, it was pretty much all over for Parvin.
Yeah.
And on August 19th, a relative brought him back to his home in the Windsor Lake area, where he was promptly arrested on 2 charges of murder and later sentenced to 35 years in prison. During the investigation, it was publicly revealed that Parvin was a 20-year Army veteran with 5 overseas deployments and a pretty bad case of PTSD, which he had been diagnosed with in 2007. According to his father's testimony, his 20 years of military service and the stress from his tours near Iraq and Afghanistan could have influenced his behavior on the day of the incident. You would think that after 2 decades of selflessly serving his country, Parvin would have been provided the appropriate mental health treatment to help him live his life peacefully. Instead, 2 innocent men are now dead, and the perpetrator himself will be spending most of the rest of his life behind bars. 35 years after his crime, at the age of 75, Parvin will be released from prison into a world he'll probably no longer even recognize.
I wanted the word cuppa, as in cup of tea, I thought would be great to mix with hug. When I saw the domain was available, I was like, I'm taking it, I'm trademarking it, I'm going with it. Hi, I'm Aaron, I'm the owner of Cuppa Pug. We are not a traditional cafe.
In July 2018, Channel 4 released an incredibly disturbing video which showed a group of uniformed men leading multiple women and children through a dirt road and onto a deserted patch of land, where the armed men then shamelessly took the lives of the victims at gunpoint. In the video, the men can be heard accusing the women and children of belonging to the notorious terrorist group Boko Haram. The video caught the attention of the entire world, with hundreds of people immediately alleging that the terrifying footage had been captured in Cameroon. However, the government of Cameroon immediately denied the claims, alleging that the video wasn't even shot in their country and that their army was being wrongly blamed for killing civilians. Still, the BBC wasn't convinced, and their team of researchers decided to find out who had been responsible for the atrocities in the video, where they took place, and when. After receiving an anonymous tip, they used Google Maps to study the layout of a particular region in Cameroon and discovered that the mountain range visible in the background of the video was near a village named Krawa Mafa, very close to the Nigerian border. By analyzing several years of Google satellite imagery of the region, the researchers from the BBC were able to determine that the incident had taken place at some point between March 20th and April 5th, 2015. Upon further investigation, it was revealed that the Cameroonian government hadn't been honest when they denied the claims. For example, the government had claimed that the Cameroonian army didn't use weapons like the ones shown in the video, but the BBC's analysis revealed that the guns were Serbian-made Zastava M21s, which are in fact used in the Cameroonian army. On top of this, several other details that the government had claimed were inaccurate turned out to be a perfect match, including the armed men's uniforms. A month after the Cameroonian government's initial denial of the claims, they then updated their statement to clarify that 7 members of the army were now under investigation. And when the BBC shared their full report with the Cameroonian government, the country's Minister of Communication was reported saying, 7 soldiers were arrested, disarmed. They are under investigation right now. I can confirm that all 7 of them are in prison.
Okay.
In their next statement, the Cameroonian government released the names of the 7 detainees, and the BBC confirmed that some of them were the same people who were seen in the video executing the innocent women and children. In 2020, 4 of the soldiers in the video received 10-year prison sentences for the murders, while a 5th soldier was sentenced to 2 years for filming and sharing the footage. The other 2 soldiers were acquitted. It's crazy to think that you can get away with such an atrocious crime and only face 10 years in prison.
Exactly.
But at least they're being held accountable for what they did, all thanks to a very detailed examination of the video's content against Google's satellite imagery.
Alright, I'm not vibing with this either, bro. I'm sorry, chat. I gotta find one that hits in order for me to have good commentary and stuff. I really want to watch this, but I didn't sign in, and I can't sign in right now. Someone was DMing me. All good, bro. All good. What's this one?
File free in the app if you
Oh,
didn't file with us last
year.
Just file with TurboTax Do-It-Yourself by February 28th, no matter your tax situation.
In December of 2022, the authorities in Northern Ireland came across a bizarre crime scene where the most likely suspect was somehow in two places at once. It all started on the 18th of December when Irish YouTuber VoteSaxon07, whose real identity is 33-year-old Stephen McCullen, live-streamed himself playing GTA Vice City. The stream started at around 6 p.m. and Stephen stayed live for about 6 hours, till midnight. The stream itself was quite unremarkable, with Stephen playing the game mostly in silence.
It's so convenient that we're literally streaming right now.
Broken by his occasional commentary. Unfortunately, while he was streaming comfortably in his home, his 32-year-old girlfriend...
No, bro, I know this, bro. I've watched this, my god. It's been a while, though. But, dang it, man, jeez. I've watched so much of this guy. Hey, chat. Not internet anomalies. I'm not trying to get hacked. Okay, hold up. Mysterious locations.
If you were to look at pretty much any map of the Gulf of Mexico drawn by Spanish explorers in the 16th and 17th centuries, you would find a small island lying off the north coast of the Yucatan Peninsula called Bermeja. Although the exact location of the island varied slightly depending on the map, it was a well-known fact that the island at least existed.
Yep.
Bermeja was first mentioned by Spanish cartographer Alonso de Santa Cruz in an official list of islands in the Gulf of Mexico, published in Madrid in 1539. Alonso de Chaves, another Spanish cartographer, once wrote that from a distance, Bermeja looked blondish or reddish, which is where the island's name came from. A couple of hundred years later, in the mid-1800s, French-Mexican cartographers published reports stating that the island of Bermeja had started to sink. By the late 18th century, Bermeja was no longer featured in many maps of the area, and the last time it showed up on an official map was in the 1921 edition of the Geographic Atlas of the Mexican Republic. In the late 90s, the American and Mexican governments started negotiations to determine the boundaries for the exploitation rights of oil in the Gulf of Mexico. If the Mexican government could find the island of Bermeja, that would expand Mexico's oil drilling rights way further into the Gulf. Around that time, the Mexican government conducted 3 official investigations to find the island, armed with state-of-the-art ultrasound technology and all kinds of modern tools to locate it. Mysteriously, they couldn't find any trace of the island, and according to spokespeople from the Mexican Navy, it was as if the island had never even existed. A year after the Mexican Navy failed to find Bermeja, a Mexican senator named Jose Angel Cioncielo, who was one of the most fierce advocates for the expansion of Mexico's oil drilling territory and the island's existence, was killed in a car accident on a Mexican highway when a semi-truck slammed into the right side of the car. His death quickly became the fuel for a conspiracy theory, according to which the CIA had blown up the island to further an oil-fueled American agenda. Of course, this theory is a bit of a stretch, and some of the other more logical theories that surfaced regarding the disappearance of the island are much more likely to be true.
That's messed up.
One possibility that researchers seem to favor is that the island sunk after an earthquake or underwater landslide, which led to a further series of explorations in 2009 to see if the remains could be found at the bottom of the ocean. However, despite the even more advanced technologies that were used during that year's official investigations, the ultrasound exploration of the ocean floor revealed absolutely nothing but a sandy ocean bottom. Speculation that the island had never existed once again started circulating online and in the news, leading many people to adopt it as the truth. After the failed explorations in 2009, Julio Zamora, president of the Mexican Society of Geography, claimed that the existence of the island of Bermeja had probably
political, bro. Man,
faked by
Chad, do y'all want to keep watching this? We can do something else. I want to do something else, but it's all up to y'all. Up to y'all. It's a lot of stuff I really don't understand, if I'm being honest. So, whatever y'all want, if y'all want to keep going with this video, we can, or we can watch another one. Also, I'm so tired right now. I gotta get up at 5 tomorrow. So this is all up to y'all. Letting chat decide. Excuse me. Well, 5 a.m. for what? For school. Gang. I got school. Oh wait, can you repeat question? Should we keep watching this video? Cause I'm not really vibing with it, or should we watch a different one? Cause it's not really something I'm enjoying, but I don't know if y'all are enjoying it. Dang, I got school at 8 a.m. You're lucky. Watch a different one. No hesitation. Oh.
Picked a great mane, but your voice doesn't quite match it?
We have a...
The Hunting Public is a DIY. In September 2019, a 40-year-old...
I'm on my voice.
Okay, I'm gonna do this one. What?
I'm on my voice. It's now Sunday morning and the snow has not let up. It's about...
I'm gonna start designing some stream thingies in a second while watching your stream. Bet, Val, bet.
6.5 feet deep.
6.5 feet deep? Jeez, that's taller than me.
I'm held up here in the Jeep.
Aww.
I just want to come home.
Oh my god.
This is the video of 46-year-old Paula Lane, recorded for her mother and 11-year-old twin boys, days after being stranded in the middle of nowhere from an intense snowstorm. Her situation was extremely dire, to the point where she could lose her life at any moment. And this recording was her way of leaving a final message to her family, something she never expected she'd have to do. Things started off quite normal on November 29, 2012, when Paula and her 44-year-old boyfriend, Roderick Clifton, were staying at his mother's house in Citrus Heights, California. Paula's mother had invited the two for dinner that day. So the two packed their stuff and began the over 100-mile or 160-kilometer journey to her place in Gardnerville, Nevada. The route went through the mountains, and because of this, they made a couple stops along the way to admire the views. But even with these breaks, they were still on pace to reach their destination long before dinner. So, with some time to spare, Rod decided to go on a brief detour. Instead of continuing on the highway, they got on the road leading to Burnside Lake. And that's when they ran into the first hurdle of this trip, a roadblock. The path to Burnside Lake was closed off by a gate, as well as a thick sheet of ice. It had been long closed for the season. Rod was intimately familiar with the path ahead, since the couple often camped at Burnside Lake with their kids in the summertime. Plus, he also wanted to test the off-roading snow capabilities of his new Jeep. So, he chose to ignore the gate and drove around it, a decision he would sadly come to regret not long after. Things went smoothly at first, allowing them to reach the lake at around 7 p.m. Unfortunately, the snow near the lake was deeper and softer than they expected, resulting in the Jeep's front left tire getting stuck as they were turning around to leave. The two tried everything in their power to free it for multiple hours, but were completely unsuccessful. And that was only the beginning of their troubles. Things went from bad to worse when the temperature started dropping rapidly, which the two weren't prepared for at all. It was around 60 degrees Fahrenheit or about 15 Celsius when they left earlier that day, so they were wearing fall clothes with jeans and light jackets. They also had no plans of camping, so they didn't have any food or fresh water. To top it all off, there was no cell service in that area either, preventing them from calling for help. With no other options, they decided to spend the night huddled in the Jeep and wait out the bad weather. Unfortunately, that region experienced an intense snowstorm that night, making their already dire situation even more critical. After trying and failing to free the Jeep once again on November 30th, Rod decided to go look for help on foot instead. It was a nearly 6-mile or about 9.6-kilometer trek to the highway. The snow was also waist deep on some sections of the path, so Rod put on as many warm clothes as he could, wrapped his shoes in plastic bags to avoid getting them wet in the snow, and promised Paula that he would be back with help in a few hours. Sadly, he did not come back. Back in the Jeep, Paula's situation wasn't looking very good either. In addition to being worried about Rod, she also had almost nothing to keep herself alive. The only food in the vehicle was a small bag of fresh green tomatoes Rod's mother had given them before they departed. Over the next couple of days, Paula survived by eating 1 or 2 tomatoes a day, eating the snow for hydration, and wrapping herself in as many clothes and blankets as she could find in the car. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't letting up one bit, causing her to slowly lose any hope of survival, and eventually use the remaining battery on her camera to
I'm gonna grab my iPad to design. This is so sad.
record this message to her family
What
on
stream
December
things you
1st.
designed about?
I'm on my voice. It is now Sunday morning and the snow has not let up. It's about 6.5 feet deep, I think. And I'm held up here in the Jeep. I'm eating a green tomato a day. I'm eating as much snow as I can remember to and trying to stay warm. I just want to come home. Runs on Friday morning. Today's Sunday. Runs on Friday morning to go get help and didn't come back. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he got hypothermia and frostbite or if some critter got him. But I can't walk out in this because I don't have the clothing. I just want to see my babies and my mom.
You know you can. Oh my god. You know how you can add pictures in OBS? I'm doing that where it says starting BRB and ending. Oh, okay. That's cool. I need to do that.
I just want to see my babies and my mom.
Aww.
I'm so sorry.
She says she just wants to see her babies and her mom. That makes me want to cry. Well, my mom just texted me. Wow. Yeah, she does seem like such a nice person. That makes me want to like cry. Her saying like, I just want to see my babies and my son, bro. Or my babies and my mom.
But as soon as the sun comes out, I'm gonna have to try to make it. It's 7 miles and 6 feet of snow. I don't think I'm gonna do so well, but nobody's ever gonna find me here at Burnside Lake.
Luckily, the storm subsided on the morning of December 2nd, giving Paula the will to save herself from the situation. So she packed her backpack with essentials, like scissors and a flashlight, made makeshift gloves and socks with masking tape and tissue, and set out to find help on her own. However, the way back was even more challenging than she could have imagined. She was sinking into the snow with every step, forcing her to crawl on the snow with the help of her backpack instead. However, her body was already incredibly weak from the days of near starvation and cold exposure, and crawling through snow only made things worse. Hours into her trek, she was already beginning to lose feeling in her hands and feet. She was also coughing up blood and struggling to stay conscious. And if all that wasn't bad enough, the snowstorm came back as well, forcing Paula to take shelter in a spider-infested hollow tree on the ground.
Oh my
She
gosh!
spent 2 more nights in that tree, trying to recover enough strength to continue making her way back. Unfortunately, she had already run out of tomatoes, which was her only food source, and was barely alive at this point. But on December 5th, 6 days after the couple was stranded in the woods, Paula made a final-ditch effort to save herself. She left the hollow tree and began crawling with all she had left. And that's when she made a devastating discovery. Not far from the tree, she came across the remains of Rod covered in snow. He had likely developed hypothermia and passed away hours after leaving to get help. However, as heartbreaking as this discovery was, it also served as a motivator for Paula, giving her the courage to continue crawling forward so she didn't meet the same fate. Now, an important thing to note here is that the rescue efforts to find Paula and Rod had begun the night they disappeared. But since they didn't tell anyone about the detour to the lake, no one knew exactly where to look for them along the 100+ mile long path they could have taken. The harsh weather also made it impossible to search for them via helicopter. Fortunately, Paula's brother, Gary, knew about their previous summer visits to the lake. So, on the 5th of December, he went to check out the lake area by himself. And after 6 long days, finally found his sister crawling on the road while on the verge of losing her life. It was starting to rain, and she would have more than likely passed away from hypothermia and exhaustion if Gary had found her even 15 minutes later. Luckily, he spotted her in time and rushed her to a nearby hospital where she was treated for first-degree frostbite. Paula has since managed to make a full recovery and is now living with her family and children.
Wow. Bro, what are these ads?
On the morning of October 15, 2016, 41-year-old Kevin Diepenbrock went on a scenic bike ride with his close friend and coworker Philip Polito. The plan was to ride across the Dragon, an 11-mile stretch of Route 129 near the Tennessee-North Carolina border that's infamous for its constant winding paths. It's as dangerous as it is beautiful. The surrounding foliage makes it one of the most picturesque riding spots in all of the US. But this foliage also reduces the already limited visibility, making even a single mistake on this road potentially lethal. Kevin had decades of experience riding bikes and was fairly confident in his ability to ride safely. However, he had no way of preparing for what was about to happen. A few minutes into the ride, Philip accidentally entered a turn too fast and was about to cross the yellow line. He slammed on the brakes to avoid going in the opposite lane. Unfortunately, due to the low visibility, by the time Kevin noticed, it was already too late. He slammed into Philip from behind, sending both riders and their bikes careening off the road and into a ravine 100 feet below. Philip sadly passed away minutes, if not seconds, after the crash. But Kevin somehow didn't. He survived, though now left alone in the ravine, hoping someone would spot him and help. He didn't know the full extent of his injuries at the time, but they were severe enough to render him completely immobile. The worst part about this was the fact that he could clearly hear hundreds of bikes and cars drive past him on the road above. But his injuries, later found out to be internal organ injuries, made it nearly impossible for him to shout loud enough to get their attention. There was nothing he could do. To make matters worse, he wasn't getting a cell signal in that location either. He tried everything from calling for help to sending text messages to his friends and family, and even attempting to update his status on Facebook. Sadly, none of it worked, making his hopes of getting rescued diminish as time went on. After exhausting all other options, Kevin accepted what was coming and decided to use the last of his strength to record a goodbye message for his family.
Hey everybody. That's all I can really say. About 10:30 this morning. Been laying here ever since.
He started by expressing his love to his parents, wife, and children, telling them to take care of themselves.
Just want to say I love you guys. Sorry it's being stupid, but you know that's what I do. Mom, Dad, love you. Courtney, love you. Kurt and Marnie, Karen, Matt, love you guys. Take care.
The second half of the recording was devoted to his dogs, but this section also revealed signs of his injuries slowly deteriorating his cognitive function.
Take care of the puppies for me too.
The first one reminded me
Kimber
of
and
my
Ruger,
mom.
lots of love for me. And Rocco, Notch, and Kimber. Rocco, Notch, and Tango. I miss you guys.
However, despite accepting what seemed like an inevitable end at this point, Kevin did not give up. He kept trying everything in his power to get someone's attention, even as it became completely dark outside.
Hey, 7 o'clock. Trying to use my flashlight to wave somebody down.
He also tried to get up at some point, but the pain from his injuries made him lose consciousness the moment he shifted even slightly. Kevin was also becoming more and more dehydrated as time went by, resulting in even more exhaustion and making it difficult for him to stay conscious.
Hey, I'm at 10% body, 10% battery. It's 11 o'clock. I love you. I don't know what to say.
What if you could taste the movies?
Bro, these ads
We turned that
are
idea
such
into an
bad timing.
$11.3 million business with Wix.
Skip.
One movie night, we were
The weather in that area can also be extremely unpredictable, and there would have been no way for him to fend off hypothermia if the temperature dropped drastically that night. But no matter how bad his situation became, Kevin was determined to keep trying until the very end. And after nearly 30 hours of hearing bikes and cars drive by right next to him, his efforts finally paid off. The next morning, Kevin heard a bike stop near the crash site. It was a young couple that stopped to admire the view from that location. So he began shouting for help with all of the remaining strength in his body, successfully alerting the couple, who then called for more help. He was airlifted to a nearby hospital where the full extent of his injuries became clear. According to the medical report, both of his lungs were punctured, and he had 17 fractures in 12 of his ribs, 2 breaks in his spine, and numerous road rash burns across his body. Fortunately, doctors were able to treat him successfully, allowing him to return home in about 3 weeks. On July 17, 2020, at around 5 p.m., 67-year-old Robert Ringo was driving alongside the Joshua Tree National Park in California when he noticed an interesting rock formation deep in the park. He wanted to take a closer look at it, so he parked his truck to the side, gathered his hiking gear, and began walking toward the landmark he'd spotted. Now, hiking in the desert like this in the middle of July is already risky enough on its own.
Oh yeah.
Heat stroke is a very real possibility with each step you take. The high temperatures can also dehydrate you faster than you expect, making you feel dizzy, pass out, and eventually pass away. Robert was a desert hiking expert with decades of experience under his belt. However, because this was meant to be a short, barely hour-long detour, he brought only the bare essentials with him into the park. And while this would have been fine under normal circumstances, the situation Robert soon found himself in was anything but normal. As he was hiking to the rock formation, he accidentally slipped off a short ledge and landed directly on his left leg. The fall fractured his left femur, making him completely immobile in 115 degrees Fahrenheit or about 46 Celsius desert heat. Any attempt to move himself resulted in excruciating pain that nearly made him pass out, which would have been a death sentence in that situation. So Robert kept his calm. He tied his leg with the materials he had on him to stabilize the fracture, and also created a makeshift shelter to protect himself from the heat before calling for help.
Help! Help!
Sadly, there wasn't anyone within miles to hear his calls for help. He also had no cell service in the park, so calling 911 wasn't an option either. Due to it being a relatively short hike, he only brought 2 liters of water and no food. This was enough to keep him alive in the short term, but with the intense desert heat, it wasn't going to last very long. And that's exactly what happened. He spent the entire day and night in the exact same spot, and by the time the sun came up the next day, he had barely any water left. As I mentioned earlier, the hot and dry desert air is extremely dehydrating, something Robert was beginning to experience himself while recording what he thought could be his final goodbye message to his family.
It's the first time in my life I've ever experienced no saliva.
He also talked about the details of what had happened to him in this recording, just so his family could know exactly what happened in case he didn't make it.
I landed right on my left hip. I can't move it for the pain. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up, but I'm sure they'll be out looking for me tonight.
That said, heat exhaustion was only one of the dangers Robert was facing in that desert. There was also a very real risk of getting bitten by one of the venomous rattlesnake species found in the Joshua Tree Park, or getting attacked by a wild animal like a coyote. But despite these dangers, Robert still had some hope of being rescued. That's because he'd actually sent his location to his son Ryan before heading into the park.
Wait,
and sure enough, Ryan was quick to report his father missing, leading to over 30 rescue workers looking for him by the next morning. However, it would have been extremely difficult to spot Robert hidden in rocks and bushes, even with so many people looking for him.
Maybe the last time the service was on, he was still near the general area of the desert, so they were able to find him.
Especially since he wasn't following any predetermined hiking paths when the incident happened. And Robert knew this well, so he secured his broken leg as well as he could, gathered his strength, and started crawling backwards with his arms. He was only able to move a couple of feet per minute and was now exposed to the sizzling desert sun as well. But he knew that it was the only way and kept pushing himself, even eating juniper berries he found along the way to slow down dehydration. He reached an open plateau by 11 p.m. that night before going to sleep. And thanks to his effort, a rescue helicopter was able to spot him at around 9 a.m. the next morning. After spending 40 hours stranded in the desert, Robert Ringo was finally safe with his family.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44. This is a first look at the current...
His leg
Bro,
also
wow,
healed
we got
without any
the Base 44 ad again.
To continue his love of hiking.
Might get that.
Southwest Airlines Flight 1380 departed from New York on April 17, 2018.
That's funny,
it was headed to Dallas, Texas, 1,390 miles or roughly 2,200 kilometers away. The Boeing 737-700 plane took off at around 10:43 a.m., and things went as expected at first. But then, at 11:03 a.m., 20 minutes into the flight, the left engine failed with a violent explosion 32,000 feet or 9,800 meters in the air. Shrapnel from this explosion
It is
hit
all
the
I see
cabin,
now, bro.
cracking
It's
one of
like
the
you
windows.
turn around and
The
it's just
sudden drop in pressure forced one of the passengers, 43-year-old Jennifer Riordan, partially out of the broken window. Once outside, she was struck by more shrapnel from the engine and tragically passed away.
Whoa, wait, what?
April 17, 2018. It was headed to Dallas, Texas, 1,390 miles or roughly 2,200 kilometers away. The Boeing 737-700 plane took off at around 10:43 a.m., and things went as expected at first. But then, at 11:03 a.m., 20 minutes into the flight, the left engine failed with a violent explosion 32,000 feet or 9,800 meters in the air.
Oh my
Shrapnel
God.
from this explosion hit the cabin, cracking one of the windows. The sudden drop in pressure forced one of the passengers, 43-year-old Jennifer Riordan, partially out of the broken window. Once outside, she was struck by more shrapnel from the engine and tragically passed away. However, Jennifer's passing was only the beginning of the issue at hand. Between the exploded engine and the depressurized cabin, a crash was looking inevitable, which would have resulted in the loss of most, if not all, the lives aboard that plane. One of the passengers, Marty Martinez, feared this as well. All he could think about was the family he was about to leave behind, especially his wife and his unborn son. So, in a moment of desperation, Marty took out his wallet and used his credit card to purchase the on-flight Wi-Fi as the plane was going down.
Wow.
He then used this barely functioning internet connection to start a live stream on Facebook so his friends and family could see him one last time. The stream was titled, "Something is wrong with our plane. It appears we are going down. Emergency landing. Southwest flight from New York City to Dallas." It showed the entire cabin in utter chaos, with every passenger scrambling to put on their oxygen mask. The passengers' panic and screaming could also be heard in the background of his choppy stream.
It's the most laggy stream I've ever seen.
And while Marty didn't say anything on
Sup,
stream due to
potato
the
muncher?
oxygen mask, he did send messages to his loved ones, telling them goodbye, writing, "I want you to know that I love you all and thank you for all you've done. I'm so sorry. Plane's going down. I love you guys."
I just
He later
clicked
explained
I'm
his
scared.
mindset in
Hey,
that
Potato
moment.
Muncher, I appreciate you clicking on the stream. We've been streaming for like 2 hours now.
And during an interview,
You've missed some crazy ones, bro.
stating, "I literally bought Wi-Fi as the plane was going down because I wanted to be able to reach the people I loved, thinking these were my final moments on Earth. And put in the position to have to prioritize the people I loved to send them my final words was an absolutely gut-wrenching feeling. So I thought to Facebook..."
Oh, I'm Didi, by the way. Just changed the name. Oh, Didi, bro, what's up, man? It's been, so long, bro. Didi, how have you been, man? Dang, bro, it's been so long.
Live my experience, thinking this would be my last communication with the people I loved and my team back home. All I was thinking about was telling my parents that I loved them. I felt like I had minutes left. I was bracing for an explosion. And his fear was completely justified. This wasn't a case of the engine temporarily stalling or experiencing some small issues. The plane had suffered a catastrophic failure, and there was nothing the pilots or the air traffic control could do to fix it tens of thousands of feet in the air. Later investigation revealed that one of the fan blades on the left engine had been developing an extremely small fatigue crack over the past few years. This blade and the engine as a whole was
not bad. That's nice, man. How's your winter break, bro? Winter break.
Regularly for any damage. But the method they were using wasn't precise enough to detect this nearly invisible crack, which
might
was a
change
critical
it again
problem.
to Bloxy Boy 3. Hey, I mean, what's Bloxy Boy mean?
Each of these fan blades weighs up to 11 pounds or nearly 5 kilograms and spin at anywhere between 2200 and 4500 RPM during normal operation. At those speeds, even a microscopic imperfection can compromise the blades and by extension the engine's structural integrity. And that's exactly what happened to Flight 1380. The blade with the small fatigue crack finally reached its breaking point. It tore off mid-flight and struck the rest of the engine at an insane speed, triggering a shockwave that caused the entire unit to fail in a single instant. Fortunately, the explosion Marty was bracing for never happened. The damage didn't reach the second engine, allowing pilots to retain partial control of the plane. They were also very close to the Philadelphia International
Just something came up with? Nice. Like
Airport when the issue occurred, enabling them to perform an emergency landing and prevent any further casualties.
That is a crazy emergency landing. I will have to say that's crazy on the pilot's part.
Marty and all their passengers and crew members a second shot at life.
I'd be terrified, bro. What? Okay. Help YouTube. Spotify sometimes.
On the 31st of May 2022, members of several Angel of Death Challenge. On June 3rd, 2022, an 18-year-old teen tragically passed away after falling in front of a truck in Tangerang, Indonesia. However, what made this particular incident stand out among the dozens of traffic-related deaths on Indonesian roads every day was that this was not an accident. Instead, this was the result of one of the most disturbing internet trends that was sweeping the country during this time. It had actually started back in 2021, but exploded in popularity in mid-2022. The trend was called the Malaikat Maut Challenge, or the Angel of Death Challenge in English. It involved TikTokers, mainly teenagers, playing a game with oncoming traffic, particularly loaded trucks. Their goal was to run out onto a busy street in front of a truck, hope it stops before hitting them without flinching, and post the video of the stunt online. But
oh my god. Oh my god. I can't even express how dumb people are. Why are people so dumb? But who came up with the idea that going up to... Why are kids like these gangling? I don't know, bro. Who thinks it's a good idea to walk in front of big trucks? What? Like, what is wrong with people? This is so dumb, bro. It's like actually the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard in my entire life. It's not even it's disturbing that a human would think, hey, let's jump in front of traffic.
Completing this dangerous challenge successfully was a lot harder than many of its unfortunate participants realized. Most of them jumped onto the road as the truck got extremely close, giving the driver virtually no time to notice them and apply the brakes. But even
so, they just want to get hit?
When drivers had enough time to see the kids performing these stunts,
is that somebody under the wheel? What?
They still couldn't slow down in time to prevent tragedy. Trucks usually carry heavy cargo, and that weight doesn't stop on a dime. The heavier the load, the longer the braking distance, sometimes stretching dozens of meters even after the brakes are fully pressed. So by the time the drivers reacted...
That's why like driving 18-wheelers is so difficult. Cause like taking turns and like braking, it's way more different than just having a little small car.
It was already too late. Not to mention the fact that this trend was also putting the truck drivers at risk, both physically and psychologically. For one of these cases,
they could feel like guilt, bro. It's like, I just freaking hit a kid. But it's like, it's their fault. It's all their fault. What do they think is gonna happen? Hey, let's just risk our lives.
Involving a 14-year-old participating in this challenge, the driver fled the scene, likely out of fear of facing criminal charges. If he had instead stopped and cooperated, the footage of the teenager's friends captured for TikTok would have proven his innocence. But by running away, he turned himself into a hit-and-run suspect, potentially jeopardizing his job and even his freedom depending on the charges he received. Following the incident in Tangerang, Indonesian police acted quickly to prevent further tragedies. They managed to stop 14 more kids from attempting the same dangerous stunt that very day and continued to monitor the city over the upcoming months. However, the attempts in Tangerang, Indonesia were only a small part of the global trend that cost several lives and left many others with life-altering injuries over the next year. Thankfully, TikTok eventually stepped in and removed all content related to the Angel of Death challenge.
Good.
And since social media validation was the main reason participants took part in this dangerous trend, the platform's ban caused it to gradually fade into obscurity.
I wasn't always here, but thanks to Purdue Global, I got my literal dream job. Like, I would be at work pulling shots of espresso.
Happy slapping.
Huh?
On the 21st of January 2005, the Tez magazine in the UK reported on a new trend spreading rapidly across the country, something they referred to as happy slapping. Contrary to its name, however, the trend was anything but happy. In essence, it involved people, often young adults or teenagers, going up to a random person, slapping them, recording their shocked reaction, and then sharing that video with others.
Like what? Random
person, slapping them, recording people, often young adults or teenagers, going up to a random person, slapping them, recording their shocked reaction, and then sharing.
Slapping them, bro. It's like, bro, they can get shot for that, bro. Like, if you just walk up to a person and just slap them, you don't know what's coming next, bro. Full stop. Like, that's so rude. That's invasive. And it's dumb. It's really dumb. What do they think they're gonna do? Like, oh my gosh. This shocks me so much. I can't even fathom, like, who came up with this.
Recorders and phones with cameras were becoming a lot more accessible during this time, allowing the attackers to
full teenagers, bro. These are full young adults. These are adults, by the way. Grown men going up to people and slapping them.
Record their crime and share it as something funny. These happy slapping videos were shared all over the internet for the whole world to see. As for how this trend initially started, videos were shared all over the internet for the whole world to see.
That is a grown man.
As for how this trend initially started, some reports from the time linked them to violent TV shows like Jackass and Dirty Sanchez. A big difference between these shows and the happy slapping videos, however, was that everyone on TV consented to enduring the pain on camera. The people filming happy slapping videos, on the other hand, usually targeted complete strangers and bystanders for what they perceived as social clout. As a media expert from that time explained it, what we see the kids watching these shows doing is thinking, well, maybe I could stage my own scenes of pain and humiliation along these lines.
That's like the perfect way to say it, bro.
Then with happy slapping, people are drawn in as random victims rather than the kind of voluntary performances we get in the shows that are being copied. I think happy slapping has become a shortcut in the eyes of the slappers to fame and notoriety among the people who see the images circulated on the web or sent to them via their mobile phones. And while that was already bad enough on its own, things quickly took an even darker turn. As time went on, the recordings became increasingly violent, likely in an effort to outdo one another and stand out in the sea of dozens, if not hundreds of similar videos. Things went from humiliating but physically harmless slaps to coordinated attacks resulting in permanent injuries. One of the worst
My god, dude, it's like
cases of this happened on August 31st, 2009 in South London.
Wait, the first case?
One of the worst cases of this happened on August 31st, 2009 in South London. A 67-year-old retired care worker named Ekram Haq left the mosque on church.
A retired chill man. Completely retired. Not trying to have no beef with nobody.
Lane in Tooting, England after the evening prayer, where he was then approached.
Just finish praying and he's probably gonna get slapped.
By two boys, 15-year-old Hamza Lazai and 16-year-old Leon Elcock, wanting to make a happy slapping video. Things quickly spiraled out of control as neither of them held back, resulting in Ekram passing away a week later from a severe head injury he received during the incident. The two were eventually identified and arrested after police reviewed CCTV footage from a nearby camera. Both pled guilty to manslaughter, with Leon receiving a 4.5-year sentence and Hamza sentenced to 3.5 years in.
Wow. So we get 4.5 years now for killing people. That's just like, that's... Oh, that makes me so angry. Oh my god.
Prison. The happy slapping trend as a whole eventually faded away after the UK and the surrounding countries started treating it as a significant threat to public safety, with France even criminalizing it and giving it a punishment of up to 5 years in prison.
Dang. Yeah, bro, it's been hours and we still watching. I'm not playing World of Warships, bro. God dang.
Skullbreaker Challenge.
What? This already sounds
On
dumb.
February 14th, 2020, 12-year-old Parker Smith was invited by his friends to...
That guy's not 12, he's like 9.
What seems...
Plays Fortnite, says you're a buns, and like 1v1s. This guy's not 12.
Like a harmless jumping contest with them. He agreed, and on camera jumped the highest he could, but instead of landing safely on his feet, he fell backward and fractured his right arm. He was rushed to the hospital
Well, now I feel bad for making fun of him.
Immediately, and fortunately made a full recovery over the following weeks. However, what seemed like a simple accident turned out to be part of a disturbing internet trend his two friends were attempting to recreate. The so-called Skullbreaker Challenge required 3 people to stand in a line and somehow convince the person in the middle to jump. As soon as they did, the 2 on the outside swept the legs of the one in the middle who was usually unaware of what was about to happen. This caused them to fall backward, usually on their head, which is where the trend got its name from. It started earlier that year after a video of 2 students from Spain doing it on their friend went viral on
If your friend does that to you, bro, they're not real friends.
Social media platforms like TikTok, prompting countless imitators to...
Unless, like, it's gonna be hard to convince me that you're not a real friend. That you're not, like, a fake friend.
And recreated success. And, as you might imagine, the results were disastrous. With Parker being one of the lucky ones for walking away with just a fractured arm. Many others were knocked unconscious by the impact, suffered from severe concussions, and some even needed multiple stitches across their skull and face. The most devastating of these incidents...
What did the friends think was gonna happen?
Happened on January 24, 2020 in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, when a group of 7th graders attempted the challenge in school. Unfortunately, the victim fell way too hard on their head, causing them to lose consciousness and have a seizure. He luckily survived the incident and eventually recovered without any permanent head trauma. However, his initial condition was bad enough that authorities arrested the other 2 13-year-old boys. They were charged with 3rd-degree aggravated assault and 3rd-degree endangering an injured victim since the harm they caused was mostly intentional. Now, I wasn't able to find any...
Mostly. No, absolutely intentional. You're planning to sweep them from under their feet and intentionally break their skull. It's called the Skullbreaker Challenge. They're obviously doing this on purpose. This is intent. Their intent was to hurt people. This is like, that's not mostly intent. Like, that is full intent.
Reports on whether the charges were dropped or not. But even if they were, being arrested for attempting a dangerous internet challenge goes to show just how dangerous it can be. TikTok also stepped in and banned all videos of this challenge on their platform. Unfortunately, once something is on the internet, it never truly goes away. As evident from 2 girls finding videos of the Skullbreaker Challenge, attempting it on one of their classmates, injuring them, and getting charged for it in November 2022, more than 2.5 years after the original fad ended. Fortunately, there haven't been many reports of kids getting injured because of this challenge ever since.
Well, that's good.
Kia Challenge. Near the end of 2020 and throughout 2021, authorities in Milwaukee, Wisconsin noticed a significant increase in car theft. What made this even stranger was the fact that the majority of these stolen vehicles were either from Kia or Hyundai, with theft of these particular cars doubling or even tripling in some areas compared to previous years. However, before investigators could determine the cause of this surge, the situation spiraled beyond their control in ways they could have never expected. Put simply, stealing Kia and Hyundai cars became an internet trend called the Kia Challenge.
Okay, so
it began on July 12, 2022, when a video...
Being a literal criminal burglar is now a trend.
Caption Kia Boys went viral for demonstrating just how easy it was to steal Kia and Hyundai cars manufactured between 2011 and 2021. All a thief needed was a screwdriver and any regular USB cable, since the connector just so happened to be the perfect size and shape to jumpstart the vehicle. This was a major hardware-level security flaw
Oh my god.
in dozens of car models, and there was no permanent way to fix the problem either. Now, the original Kia Boys video was eventually taken down by TikTok, but the information was already out there and it already sparked the Kia challenge. Teenagers across the US started breaking into Kias and Hyundais and posting their stunts on social media to participate in the challenge. While the stolen cars caused a massive financial burden for hundreds of innocent residents, the real danger of the Kia challenge came from what many of the thieves did once they had taken control of the vehicles. Since many of them had no intention of actually profiting off the stolen cars and were only doing it for the internet, they began taking the cars for reckless joyrides around town, putting their lives and the lives of everyone else on the road in extreme danger. One of these joyrides led to a police chase, which eventually ended with the out-of-control car slamming into the concrete barrier and the teenagers who stole the car trying to flee on foot. The most disturbing of these incidents occurred in Buffalo, New York in October 2022, where a stolen Kia ride ended in a fatal crash, taking the lives of 14.
That's low-key smart. Yeah, I mean, the stealing part, yeah, that's smart. But it doesn't mean it's a good idea. It's hard to explain. It doesn't mean you should do it. Just because it's smart doesn't mean you should do it.
In total, the Kia challenge resulted in the loss of 8 lives before the disturbing trend was shut down by TikTok and other social platforms. Kia and Hyundai also had to settle a class action lawsuit for $200 million over the dangerously lax security in their cars. Car surfing.
More cars, really?
Car surfing, or riding on the outside of a car as if it were a surfboard, has existed as a trend long before modern social media was even a thing. It started gaining popularity in the early 1990s, compelling teenagers and young adults to speed down the highway while precariously balancing themselves on top. Today, most modern cars don't have much to hang on to on the outside to improve aerodynamics, which makes this already high-risk activity even more deadly. It only takes one small slip for even the most daring car surfer to fall into the road. Something that's evident from a 2008 CDC report, which revealed that 58 people lost their lives while engaging in car surfing, and 41 others were severely injured since 1990. Unfortunately, the rise of social media and the desire to go viral with outrageous stunts have only driven that number higher ever since. Most recently, in May 2023, a 16-year-old boy tragically lost his life while car surfing out the back window of a car when the vehicle lost control and rolled over. He would have almost certainly kept his life if he were in his seat with a seatbelt. Sadly, the car surfing trend is just as alive today as it was 3 decades ago, and shows no signs of fading away anytime soon.
When was this made? Oh, I didn't know this was still a thing. I thought that was like really old. They call it happy slapping when people call it assault. Exactly. That's stupid. I've done this in my neighborhood. Evan, you just admitted to doing something. But I think it's different in the neighborhood. But when you're like speeding down the highway, I think that's different.
The blackout challenge has existed long before social media. The goal in this challenge is to achieve a brief high that comes from cutting off oxygen to the brain by intentionally suffocating until you lose consciousness. However, while oxygen to the brain, the goal.
Wait, what, dude?
The blackout challenge has existed long before social media. The goal in this challenge is to achieve a brief high that comes from cutting off oxygen to the brain by intentionally suffocating until you lose consciousness.
So just temporarily
However,
dying?
while many assume that blacking out from lack of oxygen is perfectly safe in the long run, that couldn't be further from the truth. The rewarding high in this challenge is in reality a dangerous form of cerebral hypoxia, where brain cells are deprived of vital oxygen. This can lead to seizures and hemorrhages. Even if someone survives
Hemorrhages. Hold up. What are hemorrhages? Wait. Brain. Hold up. Hemorrhages. Hold on. Wait, what did he say? Hold on.
The challenge. This can lead to seizures and hemorrhages.
Hemorrhages. But I can't spell. Hold up. Is that it? Hold up. Yeah. Also known as a brain lead. Oh, okay. That's dark. It's pretty dark. Okay.
Even if someone survives the challenge seemingly unharmed, depriving the brain of oxygen for just a minute can cause permanent, irreversible damage. This can affect memory, reasoning, and other critical
and
cognitive...
escape of blood from a ruptured blood vessel, especially when profuse. Yeah. Like, why?
Functions in the long run. The line between a fleeting dangerous thrill and irreversible tragedy is terrifyingly thin, and once consciousness is lost, there is no way to control the outcome. Not to mention the very real risk of the person never waking up again. Unfortunately, many who try to recreate this challenge are completely unaware of these dangers, resulting in 82 people losing their lives between 1995 and 2007.
So dumb! 6 to 19! Yeah, bro. What
makes this even worse is that almost all of these deaths were between the ages of 6 and 19.
That's
much like
crazy.
other viral...
Oh, thank you. W mom. She brought me up water. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let me know when you're done, okay?
Okay. W mom or W mom.
Trends, young impressionable kids are especially drawn in, motivated by peer pressure or the need for validation online or in real life. Which is why the resurgence of the Blackout Challenge through social media platforms like TikTok brought it to an even younger audience and left a devastating trail of victims. One of the most well-known cases is that of Nyla Anderson, a 10-year-old girl from Pennsylvania. Her family found her unconscious on the bedroom floor on the night of December 7, 2021. They rushed her to the nearby hospital. Unfortunately, it was already too late. After barely clinging to life for 5 days, she tragically passed away without ever waking up. No one knew why she would do something like this, until investigators did a forensic analysis of her phone, which revealed she had been viewing videos of the challenge on TikTok. Another tragic instance happened in April 2022 when a 12-year-old boy from the United Kingdom named Archie Battersby suffered catastrophic brain damage after attempting the challenge and passed away months later. And these weren't isolated incidents either. Numerous other children, some as young as 8, suffered a similar fate or other life-altering injuries after attempting this challenge. Sadly, despite social media sites' best efforts to suppress the challenge, it continues to spread to this day.
Wow, Chad, that is just messed up, bro. These stupid internet trends, bro.
Your perfect domain is out there.
The Phantom of Heilbronn.
No.
On March 6, 2006, on the morning of August 26, 2015, dubbed Super 8 Static. Just before Suzanne Eaton was a 59-year-old American. Storm de Buell was a 22-year-old Belgian. SeeMeRot.com. In February of Elliot Eastman was a SeeMeRot.com.
I want to watch this.
In February of 2004, a user on a now outdated message board asked other members about a strangely morbid site they recently came across. The post read, SeeMeRot.com. Is this coffin webcam real? I recently visited www.seemerot.com, which is a live webcam inside a coffin that is taping a woman in her 40s who passed away from natural causes. Something isn't right here. They claim it's real, but there is very loose wording under the disclaimer.
What?
Someone please help clear this up. Is it a hoax?
That is so
There seems
weird.
like there are too many loose ends here. There has to be more to the story than this. Visiting this site today leads to an Australian fashion and lifestyle blog that has nothing to do with what this post was talking about. Fortunately, this domain has been extensively archived by the Wayback Machine over the years, allowing us to go back in time and see how it used to look in August of 2003. And sure enough, it was just as bizarre as the OP mentioned in their post. Its logo was the site's name over a picture of a coffin, with an ominous caption tagline reading, "Being dead and buried doesn't mean you can't have friends over." Below this was a supposed live view from within a coffin, featuring two cameras pointed at the deceased face and feet. Elliot Eastman was a
Nope, absolutely not.
Ivan Les. On the night of January 19th, 2019, an Uber driver named Albert. On May 8th, 2020. On January 8th, 2005, a man named Martin discovered a. This is the last known photo of 12-year-old Jared Negretti, a self-portrait he snapped on July 19, 1991, after he was officially declared missing earlier that day. Jared was a member of the Boy Scouts, and July 19.
Bro, Evan, of course it's blocked at school. Plus, you have to go back in time to see it.
1-800-GOLF tip. Back in the early 90s, a mysterious phone number started popping up on billboards and newspaper ads across North America. It was a vanity number that spelled out
Evan, should I call you?
Tip.
Evan, I should
Seeing
call
this,
you.
most people assumed that it was an innocent golf tips helpline or something of the sort. However, that couldn't have been further from the truth. When someone did call the number, they were greeted by the sound of a person breathing into his microphone. This was then quickly followed by the same person counting off numbers 1 through 10 in an Indian or Middle Eastern accent over and over again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Ding 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 ding. Snoop. Okay, that's actually your stop.
For minutes on end, leaving many people confused and prompting them to hang up. However, this counting didn't last forever.
Okay.
People discovered that after about 10 to 12 minutes, the voice faded into silence and was replaced by static noise.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
But that wasn't all, because the ones who kept on listening were eventually startled by a loud and unsettling siren sound.
I don't want to watch this. This is so terrifying. It's scaring me.
Answered questions like, what was the purpose of this strange counting? And why would anyone pay money to advertise this number in the first place? Over the next few years, the 1-800-GOLF tip number became a modern folktale of sorts. People heard about it through word of mouth, dialed it out of curiosity, and were all met with the same eerie voice. This phenomenon was widespread enough to become one of the earliest internet rabbit holes, as I found mentions of the number dating as far back as 2003. However, the complete lack of information gave rise to a flood of theories attempting to explain the mystery, including one which speculated if 1-800-GOLF tip had something to do with number stations, which, for those who don't know, are shortwave radio broadcasts of unknown origin. These usually transmit sequences of spoken numbers, tones, or coded messages, often in eerie, mechanical voices.
Nope, I don't want to hear it again.
To this theory, the 1-800-GOLF tip number served a similar purpose. Another theory that many came up with was that this number was a part of a marketing campaign. Probably.
What's the secret?
Ian on YouTube is a channel run by 30-year-old Ian who's been posting on the. On December 10, 2024, Reddit user vending machine killer. On May 6, 2019, YouTuber. On the morning of January 2nd, 1978, a woman in California received a. On December 29, 1986, NBC7 San Diego aired a segment. On May. In December of 2022, needs $700,000. DIY crystals. Needs $700,000. On November 6, 2015, a Reddit user named Bangarang made a deeply concerning and odd post on the site reading, "Needs $700,000.
You know the new girl on Math? Yeah, the baddie that everyone likes? Yeah, I know we're having.
I do. I need it by January 2016 or I'm dead from the mob. What are my options though?" Now, if this was posted in subreddits like r/advice or r/helpme, people would have taken it more seriously. However, for whatever reason, Bangarang decided to post this plea for help in r/sadboys. This is a subreddit for the fans of the Sad Boys music collective that emerged in the early 2010s, primarily associated with Swedish rapper Young Lean and his music group Sad Boys. So, a completely unrelated post like this left most people confused about what it meant. Not sure if this is real. So confused. What is this? Some users wondered if this was some obscure reference to Sad Boys music. Is this a reference to Lean being worth $700,000? However, most users quickly realized that Bangarang was serious when he began responding to some of the less serious joke comments with sincere replies. Let me ghostwrite your next mixtape. I need all the help I can get. But that's when the post took a disturbing turn. One user jokingly told the OP to end it by jumping off a bridge and shoot himself while
Why would you tell that to somebody? Why would you? That's not funny, but I laughed. Why would you say that to somebody?
Falling. However, instead of getting offended, Bangarang replied with something that made everything way more unsettling. Think they'll get to me before I can make any moves. Alongside this, he posted a link to an eerie photo. A group of men standing in the middle of a street with multiple cars lined up behind them. The way the photo was framed suggested that OP took it while hiding in the bushes, as if he was watching from a distance, afraid to be seen. At this point, people wanted answers. And after some back and forth in another thread, Bangarang finally explained what had gotten him into this situation. Was involved in a fight where an 18-year-old kid was killed. I was on drugs and had a bad temper. I was always protective of my friends, especially John. John was in a band and was taking off. He had a Facebook page, so he deactivated it. He made a new one. One of his friends that made a new one got real mad that he deleted the old page and thought he didn't want anything to do with her or his old friends because of the new fame and band. John tried to explain to her that wasn't the case. When he tried to, I peered over John's shoulder, read their texts, and got heated. I started trash-talking the girl. She got her boyfriend's friends to meet me and my friends out in the desert for a brawl. One of the guys there was with the gang members guys group and pulled out a gun to shoot me and my friends. One of my friends grabbed the gun from him and ended up shooting the guy and killing him, the dude that pulled out the gun in the first place. Then, after the fight, I violated my probation. The cops were already after me for drug use. They found out I was involved in the fight and the shooting of the guy, and they added the battery charge. I wasn't charged with murder, but was involved in the fight, which is why they added assault and battery charges, plus the probation violation.
I'm making an overlay right now. How's it going, Val?
Drug use and violated my probation by leaving the state.
How's the overlay going?
Now I'm sobered up.
You should post it in the Discord. I want to see it.
I'm 23, and I'm in a real bad place with some people from the past.
I wasn't always here, but thanks to Purdue Global,
Chad, is this real or not?
Literal dream job.
3 years. While these responses provided some important context for OP's situation, it still didn't explain why the mob was after him now, or how having $700,000 would help him stay alive.
Yeah, what would 700?
By this point, people had stopped joking. It was clear that this was most likely real. One user finally spoke up, saying what everyone else was thinking. First of all, why are you posting this here? Second, run, get out of town. To which OP replied, I got no one. After learning about his sheer helplessness, user PizzaMan2345 chimed in with some detailed and practical advice to help Bangarang escape with his life. Get yourself into jail and tell them to safely escort you to an airport afterwards. If you warn them about the mob and spread the word, the police will look stupid if you die soon afterwards. Then, if you do get to the airport, take several planes to several places and settle down somewhere far away. No matter how uncaring a police department is, they should listen to your plea for help. It might also help if you have a writer friend who can tell the whole story if they don't escort you. Let the police know as a last resort that they will be flamed online for not dealing with the mob themselves and for letting you loose, only for you to die right after. This of course involves you being in jail for a while, which if not the case leads me to say that you should simply leave the country now. Use your head, don't drug your problems away, either work hard and loan the rest or just run. Unfortunately, we'll never know if this advice helped him or not. A day after making the original post, Bangarang stopped replying to any more comments and hasn't posted anything on Reddit
I hope
since.
he's okay.
As for if the story was legit or not, we have no way of knowing for sure. The Bangarang account was likely a throwaway since it was created the same day as the post. I also tried reverse image searching the picture he posted, and while there are many similar looking images online, I couldn't find anything that matches the OP picture to a T and predated the Reddit thread. And since Bangarang didn't provide any clues about his location, I couldn't find any relevant news articles from that time either. Most users under the original thread believe the OP was likely caught and killed by the mob. However, it's been over 9 years since the original post with no updates since, and I doubt we'll ever learn the truth. Dog Operation. On the 31st of March, Reddit user City, State posted a disturbing entry on the
What's
Reddit Bureau
RBI
of
mean?
Investigation subreddit. The title of the entry was, "What could have been the reason why someone operated on my dog?" It read, I originally posted this to another sub, now deleted, and was insisted that I repost this here instead. I live alone in a suburban area, and when I go out, whether it's for work, social gathering, shopping, or whatever, I leave my dog, he's a Labrador, to play in my backyard with plenty of food and water. He's a pretty healthy dog, normal weight, and had nothing wrong with him. I would say I live in a pretty safe neighborhood and never had anything bad happen to my dog while I was away. Yesterday, I came back home from work in shock to see that my dog had been stitched up. In shock, I immediately rushed to him, called and took him to a vet. I visited the vet for checkups, so the vet knows him. Strangely, the doctor who was inspecting him said that whoever was operating on him actually did a pretty good job, and for whatever reason took out part of his fat. The wounds are of both his lower and upper...
Part of his what?
Good job, and for whatever reason took out part of his fat. The wounds are of both...
He's literally saying a slur.
Actually did a pretty good job, and for whatever reason took out part of his fat. The wounds are of both his lower and upper belly.
Dude,
Picture is here.
I'm so
Luckily, he isn't in any danger, but the doctor said he would be in some pain for some weeks. Normal for wounds. I was prescribed painkillers and antibiotics for my dog. I was also given a cone for him to wear so he wouldn't lick his wounds. Naturally, I asked him if a Labrador came into the vet today, as in yesterday, and he and the receptionist said no, and they said to their memory it's the first time they saw my dog that day. So this got me and my doctor thinking, either someone operated on him or someone took him to another vet and got him operated for whatever reason. In the meantime, I have reported this to the police and have called other vets around my town and no luck as of yet.
My phone keeps
Due to this,
falling.
I am still unsure what could have caused this. Who and why would someone take parts of fat out of my dog? I don't have any enemies, nor...
Evan, bro. This man, Evan, bro. You are the funniest person I've ever seen, Evan. Like, you don't... Oh my god. How do you not know what a slur is, bro? It's just like... something worse than a cuss word, but usually like directed towards like a community or a race or something. That's usually what a slur is in my eyes, but that's not the official definition. And you shouldn't say them.
Any past relationship partners come to mind who may do this. I've also spoken to some neighbors, and they said they didn't notice anything strange around the neighborhood or near my house. I also don't have any cameras. People on Reddit quickly began speculating on what could have happened. Some wondered if this was the work of a medical student looking to practice, or a budding serial killer. However, neither of these makes much sense.
What would a serial killer have to do with stitching a dog?
No sane medical student would risk ruining their career by operating on a random dog when there are safer options like ethically sourced cadavers. As for the potential serial killer theory, why would they cut open a dog only to stitch it back and return it to the owner instead of just disposing of the body? But there were some more reasonable theories as well, stating that the dog must have injured its stomach while jumping over the fence.
Bro, if I get one more World of Warships ad, I'm gonna crash.
Someone then saw the wounded dog and took it to the vet for treatment before leaving it back in OP's yard. Or maybe the dog successfully jumped over the fence only to get hit by a car, and the person driving the car took it to the vet and dropped it off after the operation.
Possibility.
However, a major flaw in both theories
is
why the person who took it to the vet didn't...
Slur death. Unlike general insults, e.g., example, jerk, slurs typically carry historical weight of oppression and are used to reinforce social hierarchies or power imbalances. Yeah, so it's basically just like looking down on one and looking down on like a community, like a marginalized community or like a race, like I said, and saying F you. It's like that basically, but it's like personalized and like towards them. That's, man, I suck at giving definitions.
Leave a note explaining the situation. If it was an accident, maybe the person didn't want to get in trouble. But even then, leaving an anonymous note would have been the right thing to do. Some users also consider the possibility that someone might have shot the dog with a pellet gun, either by accident or on purpose. A comment from user Banana Phone quickly rose to the top as it offered a more plausible explanation for what might have happened during the OP's absence. That rubber thing sticking out appears to be a Penrose drain, which is most commonly used to allow a wound to weep and drain through the hole where it comes out of the skin, which prevents the skin from closing into a pocket and turning into a huge infected abscess, which requires secondary treatment and antibiotics. This is most commonly seen in my personal professional experience after bites from
You're not a professional, bro.
another animal.
Pack it up.
The bacteria in dog/cat mouths can be difficult to totally disinfect after the fact and often leads to abscesses. While the general consensus is that dog mouths are cleaner than cats, there's still plenty of bacteria in your average dog's mouth that could lead to infection. That drain will need to be removed in a few days to a week after the risk of infection is passed. My guess would be, with the size of the incision, another dog got into a fight with yours, whether it jumped the fence into your backyard and picked the fight itself, or somehow your dog was accidentally able to be out of his fence, and the owner felt guilty but did not want to get sued or put their dog down. I double this hypothesis because if they put him back, they knew where he lives, and that means he was probably inside the fence when the incident occurred, and hiding the conflict probably means his dog has a history of aggression.
Oh, Val, oh my god, Val. I'm actually so sorry, bro. I just saw your text message from like an hour ago. I'm actually really sorry about that. For the be right back one, I would say maybe add like shadows to the back of the text just to make it to where the be right back is a little like easier or just like looks a little cooler. I'm so sorry I missed that. Genuinely, I'm really sorry.
Your fence and attacked. Right. I suspect a pellet/gunshot less because anyone who would shoot a dog in its own yard is probably not going to have the moral compass to get it treated.
Yeah.
Another user, Decent Writer, also backed this theory with a personal anecdote reading, I'm almost 100% sure someone who has a dog with a bite history attacked your dog and they did not want to get caught. I have a dog with a bite history. If he bit someone or an animal a second time, it would be disastrous, and myself and my partner would both be in jail. They likely got off with a small charge the first time and are on probation, already paying out a ton of money to whoever was the first victim and cannot risk a second person suing them. We've been going through the
These are just like really abstract, you know? It's like no evidence, but also there literally is no evidence to prove any of the theories or like a confident one. So it's like
Says for our one dog bite for over 2 years. It has been miserable every single step of the way, and I'm sure that's what has happened here. I'm sorry, it sucks so much. Hopefully they feel guilty and come forward to you one day, in which case you have 2 years from the day of the incident to sue them in a civil court case. I know this because I'm on the other side of that civil lawsuit as we speak. That said, after further questioning from other users, the OP shared additional details about the situation, debunking many of these theories in the process. Edit. People have been asking about my fencing. I'm about 5'8", and the main fencing is taller than me. The side fence is about half my height. However, there are other properties around those fencing. So if another dog, for example, got in, I would think the neighbors would have noticed, as the other dog would have needed to go through their properties first before reaching mine. People also are asking if my dog is known for jumping over stuff. No, he's not. So that's why I don't think he hurt himself while jumping over the fence. But that doesn't mean another dog jumped over to him. One of my neighbors, right next to the one of my shorter fence, has a dog of his own. But it's a small poodle, and I don't think they could have done that to a Labrador. Plus, neither of them has shown aggression to each other, from what I've seen. They usually don't even pay each other's mind. No other organs are missing, according to the vet, just the fat removal. It was not a car crash. He has no bones broken, bruises, or anything like that. There was blood, but only around him, normal amount, not anything crazy. So either someone did it and cleaned it, or it was done elsewhere. The picture was taken the day after the vet, the day I made this post, after they examined and gave him a proper clean around the wounds. At least one of my neighbors in the surrounding fencing has a camera, to my knowledge. The footage has been examined by the police and myself, and we couldn't see anything out of the ordinary. The police said they will be going around to see for any other footage. However, with this additional information, the OP mentioned something that made many people question whether any of this was real to begin with. They mentioned that they were gone out for work from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for 5 hours, which is not typically enough time for someone to take their dog to a vet, get a complete surgery, and drop it back without getting caught. As one user pointed out, this whole thing strikes me as suspicious. I've worked in both private practice and ER. OP says they were gone for 5 hours. Even if it happened right when they left, 5 hours is a really short amount of time for this size of wound repair. We factor in anesthesia, sedation, clipping, cleaning.
Just the whole surgery in general is going to take a while. And then to get the dog all the surgery is super long, and just to get for a bite like that big that I saw in the blur, and just to get that back to the house and not get caught in the process being sneaky is impossible. So
clipping, cleaning sometimes takes longer than the actual suturing to remove hair, debris, dirt, etc. Then flushing and cleaning the wounds, cutting the skin to remove sections that wouldn't heal well, then actually suturing it, including drains, post-anesthesia/sedation recovery. White dogs plus a bunch of blood requires a bath to remove all the blood. Not to mention the time it takes to get the dog there, check the dog in, get consent for treatment, discharging and explaining meds, paying for it, getting the dog back to OP's yard. But this makes me wonder if it could have been done in this time frame if the surgery wasn't done at a professional veterinary hospital. Maybe the person involved in the incident had a surgical background and did everything themselves off the books. However, this is all speculation, and unfortunately not long after this update, the OP deleted their account and didn't post any new updates on what happened. But before that, the OP did make a post stating that the police were investigating this as a criminal case.
They just love to like remove their accounts after something happens.
However, given their complete silence over the past 4 years, it's unlikely we'll learn if anything ever came of that.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
Oh my
made
God,
for anyone
Val.
with an idea.
Oh my God.
And a drive to bring it to life.
Oh my
Describe
God,
what you
Val.
want
We are not
and watch it
serious.
take shape.
Fraudulent nurse. On January 16th, 2021, user Pagan Princess 22 made a Reddit post recounting her strangely terrifying experience at a hospital. The post read, "A woman posing as a nurse stole my blood from an Indiana, USA emergency room in 1996 or 1997 when I was 5 or 6 years old. Hello everyone, I'm not sure if this is the correct place, so please feel free to direct me to a better subreddit if there is one. I've flared it as a cold case because it happened 23 years ago, but there were no charges filed, to my recollection, and I don't remember a case being made from it. This is a strange story, and I was 5, maybe 6 when it happened, so I don't have a lot of the details. I had recently told my younger sister about this story, and she encouraged me to look into the incident more and see if I could find out either who this person was or if there was a larger pattern of behavior during the time frame. I'm interested in any information you all have to offer / can find on the matter, as I truly just want to satisfy some curiosity. I'm 99% sure any statute of limitations is up, and I'm not interested in reporting something so weird and from so long ago to the police for them to tell me there's nothing that can be done. Now onto the story. When I was around 5 or 6, I got a pretty bad nosebleed that wouldn't stop. I eventually started throwing up big clots of blood as well.
Do you know how to add a border to it? Like a border? If no, I can help you. Maybe.
Me to the ER. This would be in / around the Sunman or Indianapolis area in Indiana, USA, but I do not know the name of the hospital. At the time, beds were separated only by curtains on ceiling racks and not individual walled rooms. My mother had left my room to speak to a doctor. I know she left, and a woman I did not know came in shortly after she left. She was white, had medium brown hair, and looked to be in her 20s or 30s. She was wearing a blue scrub shirt with puppy dogs on it and unmatched pants. I want to say she was not wearing...
Alright, just let me know if you need help though. I should know, because I edit a lot for like thumbnails and stuff. I edit for my friends and stuff, so yeah.
Scrub pants, but rather...
I'm an experienced pro with it. We've been live for 3 hours, chat. That's insane. Last time we did like a 3-hour stream was like Last of Us, bro.
Jeans or maybe sweatpants. I know they did not match her shirt, which stood out to me. The other nurses and doctors I saw only wore solid colored scrubs and were all matched. She said she needed to take some blood and pulled it.
You were legally... I thought that's what you were legally supposed to do as a doctor. You had to wear scrubs. Because like my mom's a nurse and I thought that she had to... I didn't know she couldn't just wear the full uniform. Maybe it depends on the hospital.
Tools to do so from her scrub pockets, not a phlebotomy cart. She stuck me and started drawing blood, somewhere around 5 to 7 vials of it, but potentially more. On the last vial, we heard my mom and a doctor coming back towards the room. She hurriedly ripped the tube from my arm before the last vial was full. It spilled some blood. She did not give me a band-aid or gauze. She just left me bleeding and shoved everything back into her pocket, then ran from the room. She ran to the left, and my mom and doctor entered from the right. The doctor said a nurse would be with me soon to draw some blood and run some tests. I told him a lady had already taken my blood, and he asked what she looked like and where she went. I described her. He turned wide-eyed to my mother and said, "She doesn't work here," and ran out of the room to the left.
Oh my God.
I heard some loud voices.
That's why! That's why, because, yes, I just explained it. They don't know, dope dog. They don't know what happened to the dog. It's a mystery. But I told you, I was so certain you're legally supposed to wear scrubs that match. Hold up, let me go ask my mom right now. She's a nurse. Hold on. I'm gonna bring her in the room. Mom! Yes? Wanna come here real quick for the stream? I have a question for you. I think you would know it. I don't want to be on camera. You're not gonna be on camera. Okay, chat, I'm back. Okay, let me explain it real quick. So, there's this situation, and there's this girl, and she was like 5 or 6, and she went to this hospital, and she was in the hospital bed, and there's this person in scrubs operating on her, and but she had scrubs and sweatpants. So are you only allowed to wear matched scrubs?
Yes, you have to wear hospital issued scrubs.
That's exactly what I said, chat. I told y'all. So that's every hospital?
Mm-hmm.
So
you're not supposed to wear your outside clothes that you wear from home to work, like when you work in a hospital.
Okay, so
in the operating room.
So yeah, and then they figured out that she didn't actually work there, and so she was experimenting on her when she wasn't supposed to. So it's super creepy.
So many things wrong with that.
Yeah, there is. So that's it. Okay. Thank you for joining the stream. W Mom Cameo.
Anytime.
Love you.
Love you.
Okay, chat. Hold up. All right. I was just seeing if you could hear her at all. All right, let's go.
Commotion, but I don't remember anything past that point other than just feeling dizzy and now scared that some strange woman had my blood. I've never been able to find out what happened, who this woman was, and if she was ever caught, or if this type of thing was happening across the country at the time. I have no idea. Let me know if there's any other information I could provide to make it easier to find out what happened to my blood. Edited a typo and to add, my mother is not a great source of information when it comes to my early life, or her life, or anything really, as she has some of her own issues. Several years ago, when I was a teenager, confirmed the details I remembered, then refused to talk further about it and asked me not to bring it up again. She claims she does not remember the name of the hospital, the name of the doctor, or other details I was asking for at the time. What makes this story so terrifying is how real it feels.
Yeah.
Most children are already afraid of doctors and needles, so the idea of someone posing as a nurse to steal blood is horrifying.
That's my little cousin.
One user responded with a theory stating, "Are there any chances that you are adopted?" Suggesting that the mysterious woman was OP's real mother who wanted her blood for DNA testing. And while this is still a bit out there, it could explain why OP's mother refused to give any further information on what happened that day. However, OP shot down this theory not long after it was posted with a comment reading, "I don't believe so, no. I've seen my original birth certificate and it lists my known parents as my birth parents. I also look very similar to my mom and sister."
Same.
The most plausible theory came from user OSnapdragon22, who suggested that OP might be misremembering details that make this situation a lot more horrifying than it actually was, stating, "Nurse here, phlebotomists sometimes wear different scrubs. It seems highly unlikely that someone stole your blood and put them in tubes. Those tubes are full of various additives for different diagnostic testing. If I were to steal your blood, I would use a bag instead. Not like I would steal blood or anything, just making a point. It seems highly weird that a civilian would have the necessary tools/tubes to complete this lab draw. Many blood draws are done with equipment carried in scrub pockets, so not having a cart is not atypical. Supplies in hospitals, especially needles, are required to be locked per Joint Commission/DNV for obvious reasons, drug users, children. Also, blood draw carts are actually an infection risk in some cases. Lastly, hospitals are extremely stranger unfriendly. Every nurse and tech knows who's supposed to be there and who's not. Even when you're a coworker that has been floated from another floor to assist, you are treated as an outsider, and many coworkers still stop and ask you what you need / what you're doing there. This was most likely a flashbulb memory instance, as you are 5 and have a childlike recollection of events, and said yourself that your family / parent is a poor historian. I hope this provides some reassurance for you. I'm not trying to diminish what you're saying, just mentioning that from my experience it seems highly implausible. P.S. A doctor saying someone doesn't work, that is also ridiculous, as doctors do rotations, don't stay on one floor permanently, and typically do not know all staff members working in a given unit at a time. Pagan Princess 22 is still fairly active on Reddit, but she hasn't posted any new information about her story. Who knows, maybe one day her mother will come clean about what she knows and will finally learn what happened to OP on that day.
Smart founders know something most people miss. Get your domain name even if you're not ready to launch your business. With Wix, you can grab yours now and then get to work. Here's why it matters.
Poisoned. On May of 2013, a user made a chilling confession on the Off My Chest subreddit with a disturbing title that read, "My mother has poisoned me. Ever since I became an adult about a decade ago, my mother has been against me moving out of the house. I finally got a job as a line cook 3 years ago. My mother and the rest of my family, which includes my sister and father, has been against it, mainly saying that such a job cannot sustain me," which was true. They also said I would hate working, which turned out to be false. About a year and a half later, I quit due to health reasons. The following spring, I got a new job as a computer programmer. While they seemed supportive at first, my mother and sister, who I lived with, gradually became hostile. Eventually, I moved out of the house. About a month later, I lost my job, and about 3 months later, moved back home. Everything was cool at first, but as I was getting calls from recruiters and going to job interviews, they gradually became more hostile again, accusing me of being distant and not caring for them. However, they seemed to be very controlling and hateful of the fact that I wanted to move out and wanted a decent job. So last month, I finally got that job as a computer programmer again, but it was out of town. I had just enough money to relocate to the new city. They became very hostile starting a few days before I left, accusing me of not loving them, of hating them. On the day before I was scheduled to leave, my mother gave me 2 of the styrofoam ramen noodle cups.
That's messed up. That's manipulative.
And tore that cardboard covering that normally comes with it and threw it away. I was suspicious that they would try to sabotage my life, so I was careful in not trying to anger them. She gave me a few more food items, which I didn't use, to take on the trip with me. When I arrived at my new city and entered my hotel room, I chilled out. I was to go to work the next day, so after the first day of work, I ate a cup of ramen noodles and felt ill. I knew that feeling because my sister fed me something that made me feel the same way in late 2011, which I then assumed was because of my recent illness. I felt weak, lightheaded, and short of breath. I drank water to make me feel better because that's what I did last time that happened to me. Over the week, my mother kept calling me, making sure to remind me to eat my ramen noodles. I was short on cash then, waiting for my first paycheck. I never told her that I ate it. I suspected then that I had been poisoned, and after doing some Googling, believed it was cyanide. Now, that is something that you should never have to think that your own mother would do that to you. So I resisted that thought because I simply could not bear to think that. So I went to cyanidetest.com and ordered a kit, and I tried it. Now, look at the graphics and the video on this page. Now, here are the results of my test. I guess I'm going to have to call the cops, and I will never speak to my family again. The results exposed the truth the OP desperately didn't want to believe. He was being poisoned by his own family. Thankfully, the amount of poison in 1 cup of noodles wasn't enough to be lethal, but eating that second cup could have easily delivered a fatal dose. Luckily, he was able to escape with his life. After reading this post, the vast majority of people urged OP to contact the police and stay away from his family. And that's exactly what he did. Unfortunately, the police weren't as helpful as everyone would have hoped. Update 8:45 a.m. I am currently in Topeka, Kansas. I work downtown in a government office building, which has a police department. I visited the Capitol Police Station here and spoke to an officer. I showed him the evidence, and he said he could do nothing about it since the package was opened and might have been contaminated. So, does anyone have ideas? Had things ended here, this could have gone down as one of the most unsettling mysteries in Reddit's history. But unlike other disturbing Reddit threads, this one surprisingly had somewhat of a conclusion. You see, even though this was a throwaway account, OP returned to Reddit in October of 2013 and gave an update on his whereabouts. I was only able to file a police report, but only that so far. The police do not have enough evidence to investigate. I've gotten no contact with my family. I currently live in a cheap motel in Topeka, Kansas. Yesterday, after getting home from work, I work for the Kansas state government as a software developer. The lady at the front desk told me that my mother called them to speak to me. For security reasons, the motel needs both the name and room number, and my mother didn't have my room number. She didn't even attempt to call my cell phone, which makes me believe that she just wanted to know if I was staying there and where. And a few months later, he posted one last comment assuring everyone of his safety. And by the way, I have moved out of state since making my last thread with this account, and am doing very well with a nice job, and am in better health. To think that this story would have taken a much darker turn if the OP hadn't grown suspicious of the food his own family gave him on his way
a little
out.
differently now. Wow.
Zaxby's put the lemon pepper you love on the chicken you love. Who's got the sauce?
Zaxby's. I am finally quitting nicotine for good.
Okay.
The day is here, baby.
Oh my god.
Missing coworker. On the 31st of July 2020, Reddit user SoothBB made a post on the Reddit Bureau of Investigation subreddit seeking clues to help locate their missing coworker. The post read, "On Wednesday, July 22, a coworker of mine abruptly up and left work before the end of his shift and hasn't been seen since. 1 week later, a text message is received from him containing only 3 photos. Does anyone recognize the locations shown in these photos? I work in a lab that makes prescription eyeglasses in northern Ohio. Last week Wednesday, about 6 hours into our 10-hour shift, around 7:10 p.m., a coworker of mine got up from his station in a hurry, left his bag with personal belongings at his desk, iPad, Bluetooth headphones, a prescription, phone charger, a book, and a couple other knickknacks, and walked out the door and didn't return. No one's seen him since. Some of my other coworkers thought he was just sick of the long hours and decided to quit, but that just doesn't make sense why he'd leave behind his personal belongings and not say anything. We tried calling him that same night, but his phone would just ring until it went to voicemail, and by the next morning his phone was turned off. My boss said he got a hold of his mom and that she hasn't seen or heard from him, but didn't seem too concerned as she said he had a history of living somewhat of a nomadic lifestyle in his
I
past.
don't know why, but I have
She
trouble
thinks he may
reading
have
sometimes,
relapsed
like
and
my
owed
chest is
someone
just
money
tight.
or just ran off
Happens
with
to
some
me
girl.
too, bro.
Apparently they
It's
aren't
so
very
annoying.
close and don't
I
have
have-
the best relationship.
I've dealt with this
I know
since
he
I
had
was,
a
like,
history of
young.
drug
Like,
abuse,
I have
but from
barely
everything
any
I've
breath.
gathered in the 2
Is it
years
happening
that
to you
I've
right
worked
now?
with
You
him,
good?
he cleaned his life up after an arrest in 2014 or 2015 for drug possession and had been clean since. He always acted normal around me and seemed to be living a productive life. On the subject of the pictures, a couple days ago after work, I received a group text message that was sent to me, 2 of my other coworkers, and 6 other numbers I don't recognize. It was from him and contained the 3 pictures I linked, no text. I tried calling and it rang once then went to voicemail. When I called again, it went straight to voicemail. This whole thing has me feeling very uneasy and I don't know what to think. Does anybody here recognize the location of where these photos might have been taken? Below this was an Imgur link to these 3 pictures that OP supposedly received from their coworker. All 3 of these pictures looked like someone had taken them in a hurry, while possibly running away from someone or something. If the OP's story was true, it painted a deeply alarming situation. However, most users remained skeptical, and as time passed, more evidence emerged suggesting that this might be a hoax or part of an alternate reality game. $5 says this turns out to be an ARG. For instance, one user tried to extract the embedded data in the 3 images to see if they had any GPS information, only to be met with confusion. I tried extracting the first picture's EXIF data. It says it was shot on iPhone on 7/7/2017, 1322. It looks like the photos are in the early morning or night. Do you think the 1322 time is right? 3 years ago also. Interesting. A few other users also pointed out significant inconsistencies in how the OP described the location, stating, "Yeah, I'm not a fan that they just said Northern Ohio. Like, is it Cleveland, Akron, Toledo, Sandusky? Way too broad. Same, I'm from Toledo and no one ever refers to Northern Ohio. Northwest Ohio, yes. Northern Ohio raised a flag for me too. I'm from Akron and no one says that. For us it's Northeast Ohio." A few months later in November, SoothBB returned to Reddit with a new update and somehow things had grown even more mysterious than they were the last time. I wish I could say we found him or at least closed up any loose ends, but I can't. Shortly after the thread was closed by the mods, a police report was indeed filed. However, in mid-September, I was one of several people that were laid off from the lab we were working at, so if there were any updates on his case after that time, I'm not aware of them. I've done several searches of his name since I left the company to see if any media outlets reported on him, but I personally haven't been able to find anything. The OP also attempted to deny the allegations that the whole thing was made up. Understandably, many people were suspect of my story, and I get that, but I assure you I've not made anything up, nor have I exaggerated details. I got some slack in the original post for not filing a police report. I realize now that even though nobody else was willing to, I should have stepped up and done it myself. At the time, my perspective was that because I don't know this guy on a personal level outside of work, it really should be up to someone closer to him to do that.
Yeah.
But rest assured, a report was filed. Some people did try to take things seriously and even pointed out the strangely timed layoff. I know this might be far-fetched, but could your former company and boss somehow be involved? The guy disappears from work, your boss tells you shouldn't worry about it, take his belongings, and refuses to access them to help find the guy. Then your boss says he filed a report, but apparently he never did, if the name doesn't come up in the databases. And finally, knowing you are investigating and possibly asking too many questions or drawing too much attention on the case, he fires you and never contacts you again about this case. I mean... However, due to the inconsistencies in Sooth BB's story, the overwhelming majority of users were convinced this was just an attempt at an ARG. I still think it's an ARG. I hope it's an ARG. No offense, OP. But we will likely never know for sure. Unfortunately, shortly after posting this update, Sooth BB deleted their Reddit account, leaving us with no way to uncover the truth.
Alright, chat. I'm gonna call it there. It has been a long stream. And I mean long stream. Oh, look, I'm right there. But, okay, there's a lot of... Oh, wow, there's a lot of stuff that chat should not be seeing. Okay, well, I'm gonna call it there. And I hope you have a good day. Val, send me those things you're making on OBS. And, I will see y'all later next time. Peace. Oh my god, can't shut off stream.